So you were at the park.
She came up to fight me.
That is not true.
It seems as if somebody was kicking somebody.
That was me. I kicked her.
That was your fault.
Yes, ma'am.
Love a person who tells the truth all the time.
This is Judy Justice. Bailiff Cassandra Britt is standing in for Bailiff Kevin Roscoe, and Law Clerk Alexi Mincer is sitting in for Law Clerk Sarah Rose. Honesty Butler is suing her former friend, Walteria Flowers, for the cost of a car and stolen property.
Court come to order. All rise. Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge. Case 3074, Butlers versus Flowers.
Thank you. Miss Butler, how long have you and Miss Flowers been friends?
We became friends around the summer of 2022.
How?
We both lived in South Carolina, and then we both moved to Jacksonville, so it's kind of like we were just friends.
Did you see each other often before you decided that you wanted to buy her car?
Yes, ma'am. She used to come and pick me up all the time, and then I used to see her around the town that we lived in before we moved back to Jacksonville.
You didn't have a car?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever have a car?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened to it?
I wrecked it.
You broke it?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you do that?
It was my fault. It was a failure to yield.
Oh, so there was a crash?
Yes, ma'am.
That was your fault?
Yes, ma'am.
On what day did you have a conversation with Miss Flowers about purchasing her car?
It was December 12th.
Of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car was it?
It's a 2010 Chevy Malibu.
When did you purchase it?
It was 2021, March 2021.
And why were you getting rid of it?
Because I had another car and I was getting another car too, so.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $8,000.
Lexi, would you look up a 2010 Chevy Malibu?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 2-door, 4-door, I don't even know how many doors.
4-door.
How many miles did it have on it when you purchased it?
It was 130.
Now, interesting, because a year later, you agreed to sell the defendant that same car for how much?
I agreed to sell it to her for $4,500, but I was selling it as is.
Just a second.
Okay.
Go back. We're going to get to as is in a second.
Okay.
That's not the final price you agreed on with her based upon these records.
No, ma'am.
What was the final price you agreed?
It was $4,000.
Is that right?
No, ma'am.
It was $3,500.
Yes, ma'am.
So the ultimate price that you agreed to sell the car for was $3,500.
No, ma'am. It was $4,000.
Show me. Show me 35.
Ma'am.
Private party, fair condition, between $6,000 to $7,800 for fair
6,000 to 78.
$6,000 to $7,800.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, well, it was $4,000, but because of things wrong with the car, you said I'll take off $500 from the original price because there were more things wrong with the car than she originally thought. Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me, even at $4,000, you got a pretty good deal
Yes, ma'am.
because of what Lexi has told me about the current value of the car, which is the low end, $6,000, and at $3,500, even I would buy that car. It was a great value. This is what your case is about. It is your claim that you made all but $100 worth of the payments
Yes, ma'am.
on the car, and then the defendant, unbeknownst to you, came to your house at night and repossessed the car.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you only owed her $100.
Yes, ma'am.
Defendant says you owed her $7,000, but I think she's relying on the $4,000 figure. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's where the discrepancy is, and you took the car back.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Part of that had to do with, I gather, the two of you having an argument.
Yes, ma'am.
We fought.
Two of you having an argument. I'll get to that in a second. So you have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
You want the money back that you put into the car.
Well, not actually what I paid for the car and also the belongings that was in the car.
Okay, let's get rid of the belongings. She did have some stuff in the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have it with you?
Yes, ma'am. I have some of it with me, like her debit card and her purse that she had in there.
Okay, and what about the iPad?
She never had an iPad in there.
Okay.
I took a picture of everything.
Okay, Cassandra, would you go over there, please? Take all of that stuff and move it over to the other table. Those cards belong to her?
Oh, this one's my ID.
Okay. So now you want back what you paid for the car.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says you didn't finish paying for it. She had every right to repossess it. Let's take care of the car first.
Yes, ma'am.
How long did you drive the car?
From December of 2022 to May of 2023.
The beginning of December?
No, ma'am.
Around the middle, like
All right,
my
so-
first payment was on the 12th.
Okay. When did you repossess the car?
I got it June 4th.
So let's make it January, February, March, April, May. So you had the car 5 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have the car now.
Yes, ma'am.
So she owed you really $100 when you took it back. Who paid the insurance on this car?
Everything was still in her name.
So she paid for the insurance. Is that right? Did you have insurance on the car or not?
No, ma'am.
No. Let me understand this. She's driving around with a car that's in your name that doesn't have insurance on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is the car now?
It's parked in my yard.
Where's the title to it?
I have it.
I'd like to see it. And you repossessed the car just a few months ago, is that right?
No, ma'am. June
June.
4th. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay.
Great. Where's the back of this title?
I just sent it as evidence. I don't have the title with me, but that's the title. It's in my name.
Have her sign this. You're signing over the title to the car for her. Sign it over. I'll notify. Sign it over to her. We're going to give you the $100 that she owes you. Sign it over to her. You do understand, Miss Flowers, you came here to court today from where?
Jacksonville, Florida.
And you want to get home, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've got an appearance fee for coming here?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. All that's being withheld until you sign the title over to her. Do you understand?
Okay.
Great. Okay. So now you're going to have 5 days to get your car.
Your Honor.
And I'm awarding her on her counterclaim. You got your property back. I'm awarding her on her counterclaim. So far, $100, because that's what you owed her on the car. And it was done a few weeks ago. The car is there. Within 5 days, with a marshal, go and pick up your car. Do you understand? Okay. Within 5 days of today's date, she's coming to pick up the car with a marshal. Don't do anything to the car because you're not getting any cash until she has the car.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Perfect.
Honesty Butler claims her former friend, Walteria Flowers, owes for the cost of a car and stolen property. Walteria is countersuing for the balance of the car and an assault.
Now, let's get to your counterclaim. I've already given you the remainder owed on the car, which is $100. But now your counterclaim is about an assault. Tell me when this assault took place.
It took place on June 3rd.
And what date did you retrieve the car, just from my memory?
It was June 4th. Well, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. after
Okay,
the
so it
fight.
was right after this fight.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why don't you tell me what happened?
Me and her, after, we got into the little argument about the car, I blocked her on everything and I just told her what she owed me. So she proceeds to threaten me, saying she would be at my house in my car, her and her cousin. So me and my
Can I see what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she tell this to you on the phone or in texts?
in text, miss.
I'd like to see the text.
I have a voice recording of her saying it.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see that. It's even better. No, I'm deaf. It's even better. Now, is this argument, by the way, while you're looking for it, this argument was about the balance due on the car?
Yes, ma'am. It was something before that, but then it led to the car. I guess it's the service in here. It's having trouble.
You don't have service?
If you don't have service on the phone so I can hear it, I'll look at the texts.
Okay. Right here. Okay, yeah, that's.
Thank you. Okay, so before I read these, I gather from the plaintiff there was an incident that preceded June the 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and tell me on what date that incident was.
Okay, June 3rd, we got into this.
Well, I know what happened on June 3rd, but that was about the car.
Oh, no, ma'am. It was earlier that day that we was talking about whatever happened.
Okay, well, why don't you tell me about that?
Okay, so it was something going around on social media about people being behind a fake page or whatever. So I was exposed on a fake page. She was exposed
On a fake,
a fake Snapchat or something. It was something like people saying stuff about bad stuff about people on the Snapchat.
you
So
understand that?
No.
okay, so it was someone
I
made.
thought it was a younger thing, and I just didn't understand it. So that's
Okay, someone.
explain it to him.
Okay, someone made, Snapchat, right? Okay, someone made a Snapchat that nobody knows, like, who it belongs to. They posted pictures of me on there saying, bad stuff about me. They posted something about her also, and about my baby's father and, other people. So, Honesty texts one of the girls that they thought it was behind it and told them that it was me. By me and her still being friends, I was lost, like, why would you text someone that's not even friends with you saying that it was me? So she said, and I have it in the text message, in the evidence. She says that, and if I did said it, y'all shouldn't be behind fake pages anyways. Y'all too grown for that. Keep me out of that. So I said, to solve all that, just pay me the money you owe me. To make it fair, just pay the money you owe me for the car, and I sign over the title, and we have nothing else to talk about. Then I blocked her. So then she gets on Instagram and texts me and made a voice message about, oh, I don't owe you such and such. I'll be at your house when I get off in your car or whatever to fight. So me and my friends was at this park called Lonnie C. And Honesty came out there and went live, was on Facebook Live, and I have the video, and was saying all kind of stuff on the live about me towards me. And that's when she came up to fight me, like at the park.
Your Honor, that is not true.
Yes,
Okay.
I have the evidence.
Did you?
Yes. Rumors were being spread, but
On the internet.
on the internet, no one knows the source of the rumors. And then there were some allegations that maybe it was the defendant who was the source of the rumors.
Right.
Says not true, escalated, and then started live streaming a fight.
Right. She gets.
Whew. Okay. You have the live stream?
Okay.
Okay. So we just hit the play.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You can hit that play button right there.
Lie, you a lying. I got all the messages, and don't play with me about no $700, because bitch, I will be at your house when I get off work. Hold on, play with me. I don't owe you no $700, and you know I don't. You better find somebody to play with, bitch.
Works and plays well with others. Isn't that a check-off sign someplace? Okay, tell me what happened when you met with each other.
I was at the park already, me and my friends, the witness.
What were you doing at a park? How old are you?
I'm 21.
What do you do for a living?
I'm in nursing school.
How old are your children?
8 months and 2 years old.
Who do you live with?
It's me and my boyfriend. We got a house.
Boyfriend, the father of these two children?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were at the park with your friend with your children?
Oh, no, ma'am. It's just me, my friend, and my other friends. They always have stuff at the park, so.
Where were your children?
Well, one was in South Carolina, and the other one was with her grandmother,
Which one was in South Carolina?
my 2-year-old.
Who was in South Carolina?
I'm from South Carolina, so my family is there.
Who was the baby with?
Oh, her godmother.
Why?
Because we just sent her down there occasionally to be with her godparents.
Okay. So you were at the park. You went to the park.
No, ma'am, that is not true. I was with my friends and my cousin, and they had a graduation party. My friends was there. We went there after work. We was at the park first, which I can pull up the video and show you we was at the park first. They came to the park afterwards. I did not hit her first. She walked up to me because in the video, you're going to hear my friend saying, friend, turn around, turn around. She hit me, and I don't understand how it's assault because as they're breaking up the fight, none of the people I was with
May I
broke up the
see your
fight.
video
Yes,
where
ma'am.
she hit you first? I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Honesty Butler has accused her former friend, Walteria Flowers, of taking her car without permission. Walteria is countersuing, claiming Honesty assaulted her after taking the car back.
She's going to show me a video, Miss Flowers,
Yes, ma'am.
and her video, according to her, let me just get this straight, is going to show you hitting her first.
No, ma'am, it's not.
It's not. I'm sorry. It's not going to show her hitting me first, but it's going to show me walking, and my friend is going to be saying, turn around, turn around. When I turned around and basically I dropped my phone, she hit me, and that's when we went to fight.
But that's not going to be on the video.
You're kind of going to see it a little bit.
All right, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
A little bit is better than nothing, usually. You have also things that you want me to see on your phone?
Yes.
Would you get them up, please, so I...
Oh, it's up.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am, I can.
Thank you.
I have the fight right here. This sound is right there. I already turned it. The only thing you have to play is the play button.
Okay, while she's looking for us, I'm going to take a look at this.
And here you go.
Who's the one on the ground?
I'm on the bottom. She's on top of me.
It's terrible. I don't understand it when women fight. It's just so... I mean, I can't understand when men fight either, but you sort of expect it of them. But I never understand how women can do physical contact with other women in anger. Can't understand it, not in anger either. All right, let me see what she's got.
She better come right here and let this house leave me. Oh my God. Give me the phone. All right, bitch, be coming right here. What?
It looked to me like there were times in that video when she was on top and times when you were on top.
I never got on top. She kicked me in the face and all while I was down. I would never got on top.
Just said, were you wearing the red pants?
Pajamas, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you were wearing the red pants, right. I'll take a look at your pictures. It seemed as if somebody else who was in that mob, and it was very hard to tell, was kicking somebody.
Your Honor,
kicked me.
that was me. I kicked her. We were fighting, and her witness is she jumped in the fight, and she actually hit me in the head.
Love a person who tells the truth all the time, right? Thank you. No. Okay. Ladies shouldn't fight. You shouldn't be in the same place together if you're not getting along together. You don't go to the park together. But this was a fight. Looked to me from that video is that you were both willing participants in that altercation. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim, with the exception of the $100 that she owes you for the balance of the car. So in this case, the car is transferred permanently to the plaintiff with her payment of $100. Your counterclaim for assault is dismissed. You have 2 children. Do you have kids?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, don't fight. It's not ladylike. All right, we're done. We're done. Court is adjourned.
It was not a bad car. It is now because I don't know what she did to it, but it is not a bad car. But I'm just glad she got it back out my hands.
I took good care of the vehicle. I got it fixed multiple times, spent almost $2,700 into getting the car fixed.
It's just messed up, like drivable and everything.
She told me that she reported it stolen since it was in her name, but she actually kept a spare key, and she came into my yard at like 3 a.m., I believe she said, and she just drove off with it while I was asleep.
I guess because she's immature, and some people just do immature things.
We were no longer friends.
I think what we saw in there was 2 women square up, get into a fight. Obviously, no one wants to see it, a terrible result, but you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and the court is not going to step in and figure out what happened here.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. People generally shouldn't fight. I always find it unnerving when I see women who are supposed to be triple process thinkers, all women, but especially somebody with 2 young kids. Take yourself out of harm's way. Don't put yourself in harm's way. But if you do, don't ask, you're right, don't ask, of course, for your help.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
He told me that he had a car available for me to purchase I had to have it towed because it broke down.
You did vandalize the car, sir, when she stopped making payments on it? What do you have to think about that?
She's been driving it.
No, that's...
The defendant's counterclaim is the balance on the car.
And lost wages.
I should charge myself for lost wages from having to endure this case.
This is Judy Justice. Tammy Joseph is suing car seller Jonathan Holmes for the return of a down payment, vandalism, tow fees, and lost wages.
All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3124, Joseph versus Horn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Joseph, you purchased a used car from the defendant. You started to have some car trouble with it within the first week or so. You want your money back. And you bought this car from him in November.
November 21st.
Mr. Holmes wants the balance that you owe him on the car.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
What year car is it?
2004.
So it's a 10-year-old car.
20-year-old car.
A 20-year-old car. Did you see an ad for it?
No. He was an acquaintance, and I had wrecked my car, and he told me that he had a car available for me to purchase.
How was he an acquaintance of yours?
Just from my place of employment. He was a customer of my place of employment.
You had this 20-year-old BMW.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
When did you buy it?
About 5 years ago.
From whom?
A gentleman in town.
Did you know the gentleman that you
No,
bought
ma'am.
it from? How much did you pay for the car?
I paid $5,500 at the time.
And you sold her the car for $3,000.
That's correct.
And you gave him a $1,000 deposit.
Correct.
And agreed to pay the rest in installments.
Correct.
There was a purchase and sale.
Yes. I also paid the $1,000 plus I paid another $500 because that was the agreement. $500 until paid off.
$500 a what? A month.
Yes, correct. I paid him $1,000, and then 5 days later, I paid him that $500, and then the agreement was the $500 a month.
So far you paid $1,500 for the car. And when did you start to have trouble with it?
9 days after I bought it.
So you drove it for 9 days.
Yes.
And what happened on the 9th day?
I had driven it around town, and then
By the way, is there a bill of sale for this car?
we never made one.
Okay. Did you get the title?
No.
Did you
because
kn-
I wasn't supposed to receive the title until the car was paid off.
Did you have insurance on the car?
No.
Did you have insurance on the car?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
At the time she drove it, you had
No,
insurance?
at the time I sold it to her, but I took the insurance off. And she never gave me another $500. She only gave me $1,000, and then she gave me $200 towards that $500. So it's probably $1,200 total.
So at the time you were driving the car, you had no insurance?
Correct, but I wasn't driving it around.
I don't care if you were driving
I
it
understand
to get your mail.
Right.
You were driving the car. You already told me that you drove the car in your complaint.
Right, I did drive
Around.
the car. I did drive it to the DMV to see if I could get it registered, what the costs were going to be to have it registered. But I never got it registered because I never got a smog. I couldn't get a smog because the damages that were on the vehicle.
Did you ever take the car to be smogged?
No. There was too much damages. There was so much that I had to do.
So the answer is you didn't
No.
take it to be smogged?
No, I did not.
When you purchased the car from the defendant, did it have an up-to-date registration?
No.
Is that right?
That's correct, ma'am.
How long was it since it had been registered?
I want to say 2-3 years.
Well, then you didn't have insurance on it if it wasn't registered.
No, well, I still had insurance.
Just be very
with it.
careful. Just be very careful what you say to me. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If it wasn't registered for 3 years, it didn't have insurance.
Right.
Am I correct that he told me it had insurance, but that he took it off?
Yes, he said he did, but he took the insurance off. He sold it to her.
Okay, so that was not true. What do you have to think about that?
No, I'm just trying to figure out if my wife usually takes care of the insurance stuff, so I'm not sure if it was on there. I know we've had some vehicles on there that we weren't driving before previous.
Do you know what you just said? You want me to read back what you just
no,
said?
I know what I said.
Sounds like a lot of gibberish. What you just said to me, it sounds like a lot of gibberish.
Well, I do off-road racing, so some of them I might not be registered, but I have insurance on just in case something happens.
Off-road racing? You went
Yes.
off-road racing in this 20-year-old BMW?
No, not in that one. I'm just saying previous vehicles I have, so.
I don't care about previous vehicles.
Gotcha.
We're not here about previous vehicles. We're here about this car.
Yes, ma'am.
So now both of you have this car with no insurance, and it hadn't been registered in 3 years, and you don't have a bill of sale.
That's correct.
And you've had the car in your possession from November 26th to December, December to January, January to almost 3 months.
I've been trying to give it back.
No, you haven't tried to give it back. You want to sell it back to him. There's a difference. Giving is giving. Selling it back and wanting your money back are two different things, right?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, we're going to get all the warts out, because when we get all the warts out, it's going to come down to a very simple question. Right now, both of you were driving around in 2023 in an unregistered, uninsured vehicle, right?
Yes.
Right?
I'm no longer driving it. I have not been driving it.
You have not been driving
No,
it?
I have not been driving it.
Where is the car currently?
At my house.
Has it always been in your house since you purchased it?
No.
Okay.
I had to move it because he flattened the tires in my driveway.
Just a second. So you moved it?
Yes.
You moved it where?
Around the corner to my friend's house.
So you moved it?
I did.
Unregistered?
Yes.
Unlicensed?
Yes.
And you want me to buy that, correct? We'll get into this business with him vandalizing the car. You did vandalize the car, sir, did you not? When she stopped making payments on it?
I wouldn't call it vandalized.
Just a second. You vandalized the car.
Tammy Joseph claims car seller Jonathan Holmes sold her a damaged vehicle and refuses to return the deposit. Jonathan is countersuing Tammy for the remaining car payments.
Now, did you touch the car?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How did you touch the car?
Took the battery out of it.
That's vandalizing the car. And why do you think you can do that?
She hadn't paid me any payments. And
Did you tell her you could do it because it's your car?
I told her I still own the car due to the fact I still had the title, and she hasn't paid me any payments. So I wanted
So
to
you
make sure
could
she
do
wasn't
it.
gonna-
So you can do it to the car because it was your car.
Correct. That's what I stated to her.
Quite a pair. I think they actually deserve each other. Okay, so you've had possession of the car for 3 months. According to you, you paid for half the car, right? When you purchased the car, it was 15 years old. Is that right?
About right, yes, ma'am.
You're familiar with cars?
Enough to do the basic stuff on them, yes.
Miss Joseph said that the odometer on the car was turned back.
I did not know at the time. Me and her discussed that when she found that out, and she agreed with me that she knows. I didn't know that. I was not aware of that. I didn't do a Carfax.
I'm not following you. Are you following him?
Hardly.
When she had found that out, she had notified me of it. I told her I was unaware. I did not know it. She had to grab a Carfax to find it out, and I didn't grab a Carfax when I had purchased the vehicle originally.
Carfax would tell you that.
Yes, ma'am.
You have any proof?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Joseph, pay attention to my question. You have any proof that the defendant turned back the odometer on the car?
Other than the Carfax report, no. I mean,
Well, do you have the Carfax report from the time he purchased the car?
Yes.
And how many miles was on the car when he purchased it? Not when you purchased it, when he purchased it. He didn't buy it new.
All right, can I look? Because I don't remember. I know it said 176,000 when he purchased it. Right now it says 123,000.
Oh, can I see that?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Because you would agree, Mr. Holmes, you know, you're a smart man, that if you purchased it and there were 176,000 miles on the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And if when you sold it to her, there were 126,000 miles on the car, that would have been someone on your team turned back for mileage. That's common sense, sir. I'm not a wizard. I'm not a wizard.
Right. Yes, Your Honor, you're absolutely right.
You know, if I married my first husband when I was 21 and I married my second husband when I was 16 on my marriage license, somebody could do that math, right? In 2018, I see the mileage on the car was 111,000 miles, right?
Correct.
And when you bought it?
123,000.
Well, that would be right.
Okay, before that, if you look a little farther back, it's 176,000.
Well, that means that he didn't turn it back. He bought the car in 2018. So I asked you, what proof do you have that he turned the mileage back? He didn't get the Carfax. Duh. But when he got the car, it showed 111,000 miles when he purchased it.
I gave him the same Carfax report when I obtained it.
Look, in 2014, he didn't own the car. It had 176,000 miles on it. Then the next sale of this car was in July of 2018 when he purchased it. Because you've had it, you said, about 5 years?
Yes,
well, it's a
ma'am.
little bit longer than that. But when you purchased the car, it had 111,037 miles on it. That's what it says. New owner reported. Everybody should get one of these things. That's really fascinating. And in 2010, it had 122,000 miles on it.
Right.
He didn't turn it back then. He
I
didn't
never
own
said
it.
he turned it back. I was just showing him that the Carfax and odometer had been rolled back. That was another
That's
reason.
why you're supposed to get the Carfax before you buy the car, madam, not after.
You're right. I was never even aware of Carfax until my friend Christina had told me about it when we had to have it towed to my house.
That's certainly not my fault.
No, I'm sorry.
That's not his fault. That's not his fault.
The problem that I'm having is 9 days after I bought it, I had to have it towed because it broke down 40 miles out of town. When he assured me it'd be a good running car, I bought it for my daughter.
He's selling a 20-year-old car for nothing.
But I'm not even able to have it smogged. There's so much damage to the emissions. It would cost $6,000 to have it even brought up to smog.
I understand that. But that's what happens when you buy a used car, when you buy a 20-year-old car.
I trusted that he would
The
tell me.
answer is, unless you want a guarantee, which you get in writing, you buy a used car, you buy it as is. That's the answer.
But
what?
Sorry, Your Honor. I have older BMWs that I use for parts, and I told her for the first 90 days
What do you mean you have old BMWs that you use for parts?
I have bought previous BMWs that I've used for parts, just whole from a junkyard, and
And where do you keep them?
I keep them at my cousin's. My cousin's property out there.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have very little sympathy for either one of you. You drove around a car and you've been driving it for 2.5 months, or for 2 months, certainly enough to get it around without insurance and without registering the car.
I moved it from one point to another point because he said he was going to take it from me.
Then you sue him for taking the car. But you don't drive it from one place to another to hide it from him and then not pay for it.
I would love to give it back to him.
But he offered to take it back.
But he's not going to give me my money back?
No, he said he would give you your money back, but he would take off for the time that you actually had possession of the car. Isn't that what he said to you?
Yes, Your
Just
Honor.
a second. Well, that's a pretty good deal.
On the 5th is when I told him I didn't want it.
I don't care what you told him, madam. You're not entitled to anything. You're not entitled to anything. It's your car. If the defendant, who's slick, said, I'll take the car back and I'll give you back your money less the time that you had the car in your possession, that I didn't have it, which sounds like a fair deal. If he says you gave him $1,200, not $15, unless you have proof that you gave him $15. Do you have proof that you gave him $15?
Just in text messages between both of us.
Well, I'd like to see that in the text messages that he acknowledges you gave him $1,500.
He also said that he would pay me back $950.
You buy a 20-year-old car unless you have a guarantee for that car. You buy it as is. If it breaks down a half a block away from his house where you bought it, it's still your car. Do you understand?
I guess so, yes.
Now, Mr. Holmes said he told you that he had other BMWs because there's something going on. He acknowledges, he said to you, for 90 days, if it needs parts, I'll give it to you. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Did you know what parts it needed?
Tammy Joseph has accused car seller Jonathan Holmes of selling her a damaged vehicle and lying about the mileage. Jonathan is countersuing Tammy for the remaining car payments.
Did you know what parts it needed?
No.
Well, if you didn't know what parts it needed, that's the only guarantee he gave you. For the first 90 days you own the car, he will replace the parts if parts need replacing. He'll cannibalize it from old cars that he's got on a junkyard at his cousin's property.
Your Honor, may I say,
All I want to see is his acknowledgement of $1,500. Do you have it?
No.
Good.
He wouldn't make any kind of connection with her whatsoever.
I don't care. He doesn't have to make a connection with her. She bought an as-is used car.
He told her that he would give her back $1,000. Then he didn't show up. Then he said, I'd give you back, it's $1,200, okay? He just kept blowing her off and blowing her off. And said that he was going to meet with her, and then he never did. So he kept telling her that he was going to give her money back. He just didn't go through with it.
No. What she says is, I told him to refund my deposit and I would give the car back. He said, even though he was the one who committed a crime by tampering with the odometer. That's what you say. Well, there's no proof that he tampered with the odometer. That was an owner 10 years ago who tampered with the odometer. Instead of being civil, he came by my house and he let the air out of the tires. Did you do that, sir?
Yes, I
Say
did.
yes. And stole the battery. And you put in a new battery.
I put in the battery for my old car, yes. So I could move it into my garage so it'd be safe, yes. I did do that.
I thought you said you...
I never said
Just a second. Am I correct that she said she moved the car around the corner To a friend's house, not into her garage.
Around
put
the
it in my
corner
garage.
to my
Don't speak.
yes, around the corner to my friend's house.
That was the second time I did that, yes. I did do that. The first time I pushed it into the garage.
What was the offer that you made to her, Mr. Holmes? What was the offer that you made to her with
Regarding once we found out about
car.
the vehicle?
Yes.
I told her ultimately that I would drop the car payment down to $2,000 total and give her an engine that I had, as well as the parts that she needed for the vehicle.
Let's go slowly. Would you read back what he just said to me? I told her that I would drop the car down to $2,000.
$2,000.
Which means if she gave him $1,200, which is what he acknowledges, right?
Right.
That means she would owe another $800 on the car. Is that correct, Mr. Holmes?
That's correct.
And you'd give her the parts that she needed.
That's correct. I have the text here.
I'd like to see
There's
it.
some explicit
Kevin?
language in there, but
Kevin. Would you tell me what this $375 is? I'll give you the $375 back and you take the car back if you don't want it?
that was when I told her that we'll figure out how much it would be for her having the vehicle for a whole month. And so I told her rental cars are about $50. I said, I'll charge you $25 a day for how long you've had it. And so that comes up to about $375 left of overall what you would have from what you paid me at deposit. And I can give you that if you give me the car back.
Okay. What are you willing to do for her today, sir?
Nothing.
You wanted to keep the car.
I want her to give me my money back for the vehicle. She's been driving it. I have videos showing her driving it just 2 days ago.
Were you driving the car 2 days ago?
ma'am, I have-
Okie dokie. Let me ask you this question. If you were driving the car 2 days ago,
Yes, ma'am.
if he has video of you driving the car 2 days ago, what do you think I'm going to do?
You're probably going to rule in his favor.
Correct. Were you driving the car 2
No,
days
ma'am.
ago?
It's been sitting in my garage.
I have videos
It's been sitting on my
driving it
desk.
also 30 days before then.
You said this was 2 days ago.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Is that the car?
Yes, it is.
Who's that getting into the car, Miss Joseph?
That's me, but that's not 2 days ago.
That's the Stater Brothers parking lot in town where we live.
Where are you parked? In what kind of spot?
Grocery pickup in Stater Brothers.
Yes.
That's Monday, February 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
No, that was that's. I was not. Yes, I was at Stater Brothers, but that not on February 12th. My car has not moved in weeks.
Yeah. Miss Joseph, your complaint against the
My
defendant.
car won't even run. Actually,
Your case against the defendant is dismissed. I don't believe you that you haven't driven the car. I believe that you've driven the car without it being registered and without it being insured and certainly without it being smogged.
Yes.
The defendant has a counterclaim, and the defendant's counterclaim is the balance on the car.
And lost wages.
Forget your lost wages.
I understand.
I should charge myself for lost wages from having to endure this case. She gave you $1,200 for the car,
That's correct, ma'am.
which means she owes you $1,800.
Yes, for $3,000.
Judgment on the counterclaim for $1,800. We're done here.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I didn't think it would turn out this way. I thought he would be a man of integrity.
I think she was fair in her decisions.
There's nothing I can do with the car. It won't pass smog. I can't put my 16-year-old daughter in it, and it's unsafe to drive.
The way I tried to make it right was drop it to $2,000, give her an engine and the parts that she needed for it still, and she still didn't want to do so.
He did small repairs on it to make it seem like it ran well.
I think I sold her a car that definitely was manageable, and I think I was fair in telling her for the first 3 months that, she'd get parts for it if a part went out.
40 miles into driving it, it overheated, and it was been bad ever since.
I think she'll be happy that she has the title, and hopefully she finds somebody that can fix the vehicle for her.
I thought it was common knowledge that when you buy a used car, there's a stereotype of the used car salesman, and they're not always as honest as they could be, and you're not buying a brand new vehicle, and always do your homework and things like that. I was actually shocked at how shocked the plaintiff was that there were some issues with, like you said, this 20-year-old car that she was getting for close to nothing.
What about this Carfax? I'm actually amazed at what they look like. I've never seen one.
I've seen a few. There's a lot of information you could find there, which is why they tell you to do it
before you buy
buying a
the
used car.
Right.
Because some people are not as honest about the history of the car that you're purchasing. And so it's a good way to keep track. So again, timeline, little messed up. Should have looked that up before. But buyer beware. Like you said, you're buying an as-is used car unless you have a guarantee in writing. And she actually made out pretty well here today, given the fact that legally she had no recourse for anything, for any money, for any fixing
No, he
the car.
was entitled to much money on the car.
Yeah.
That Carfax I find fascinating. You know, I haven't bought a used car in many years, but I did buy in my time used cars. I always had a little bit of trouble with it.
Would have been nice to have.
But that Carfax that said 10 years ago it had 110,000 miles on it. And then it went to 176 and then back down to 120. It's fascinating, the amount of information that they keep on every vehicle. Just amazing. This young man vandalized your home.
Correct.
Come over here. Take the pen and show me where the damage was.
Here.
He did not vandalize her house. He vandalized the other house.
I don't believe a word of that. Give me my pen back. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
This is Judy Justice. Tanya Labriola is suing her neighbor, Noel Chang, for vandalism caused by her 11-year-old son, William.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3151, Labriola versus Chain.
Thank you. You're welcome. You own a home.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your allegation that I assume this young man, who is your son,
Yes, ma'am.
vandalized your home.
Correct.
Which had been freshly painted.
Correct.
Because you added an addition, so it was just painted. And he vandalized it by throwing paint on it and some fencing or some
ma'am.
wall. And the defendant's mother says he wasn't the instigator. He did, in fact, do it, but she was going to clean it off. And she thought your estimate to fix it was too high. So, what's your first name?
William.
Stand up with your mother. You're 10?
11, ma'am.
Tall for 11.
Thank you.
Okay. So, on what date did you vandalize the plaintiff's house?
I not sure.
What month was it?
December.
Saturday or Sunday?
Pretty sure it was a Sunday.
Do you remember what time?
No.
Morning, afternoon, night?
Morning, going transitioning into the afternoon.
What were you doing outside? Did your mother tell you to go outside?
Yes.
And who did you go outside with?
My friend.
Did you take your bikes or did you walk?
Bikes.
And you went over to where the plaintiff's house is, and there's also a construction site. So I want you to go over there and show me where you and your friend went. All right. Now, point to the plaintiff's house. Okay. So you went to the house next door?
Yes.
Were they doing construction at the house next door?
What do you mean by that? Like people there currently?
You threw paint on the plaintiff's house. Where did you get the paint from? Show me in that picture. That's what I thought. So you got the paint from somebody else's house.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand? He got the paint from somebody else's house and took the paint to the plaintiff's house.
Can I clarify?
Sure.
My understanding is he did not vandalize her house. He vandalized the other house.
Well, you don't know that at all, actually. You don't know that at all because you weren't there. You don't know that at all.
Based on the evidence and what my son said, that it is true he vandalized one house and the other kid vandalized the other house.
Okay. Now, come over here. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Take the pen and show me where you walked and where you got the paint. You walk there and then stop where you got the paint. You got the paint there. How many cans of paint were there?
4.
4. So there were 4-gallon cans of paint?
No.
How big?
Yeah, big, not very big.
4. So you each carried 2?
No, I took 1, he took 3.
And what was your intention when you took the 1?
Use it on this house.
Use it for what on the house?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I wasn't really thinking.
When did you and your friend separate?
About right there.
And show me where you stayed and show me where your friend went. What is that with the pen? You stayed where?
Here. Went here.
And you let him go there all by himself?
Yes.
I don't believe a word of that. Give me my pen back. Give me my pen back.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can go stand with your mother. You have an estimate to paint the house.
I do.
May I see it, please? And I'd like to see the photographs.
Absolutely. I have an estimate for the repainting as well as the north side of my house. The fence was splattered with paint as well. And then I had 6 boxes of flooring that were damaged. And
let me just
I have
see.
all of that. And here is the damages.
And the estimate that you got was $3,800, and you said that the other people paid $1,900, which is half. Okay.
Correct. And then I received an invoice for the fence painting, which I didn't have initially, and as well as
That's
the
too
flooring.
bad. That's too bad. $1,900, which, as you said, is half the estimate. Now I want to see. Huh. Okay. So now I have this question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
When you came home, your mother said to you, you have paint on your shoes, right?
Yes.
And she asked you what happened. How'd you get paint on your shoes? Tell me what you told her.
I told her that I went over to the house down the road.
You got it at the house down the road?
Yes.
You had to have told her more because she went with you to where the damage was to the house and you started cleaning it with your mother, correct?
Correct.
And where did you start to clean with your mother first? Because pay careful attention, because when the plaintiff came home, she found you and your mother cleaning the house in the back. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So now what I want you to do is show me when you and your mother first came to the property, where did you show her the damage was? Go over there. Show me where you told your mother the damage was.
Here and here.
Well, how did you know the damage was there? You said that you didn't go there. How did you know that there was any damage there?
Tanya Labriola claims her neighbor, Noel Chang, owes for property damage after her 11-year-old son, William, vandalized her house.
Now, you said that you stayed right in the back of that first house and your friend went all the way up. Don't raise your hand. And your friend went all the way around the house with the 3 cans of paint that he was carrying. You only had 1. So how did you know that there was any damage to the plaintiff's house?
Because there wasn't any trees here, and you could just blatantly see them doing the paint over here.
It's not a flat house. It's a big house. Madam, walk over to the house and show me where the paint was on your house.
Can I show you a more accurate picture of the property?
No.
Picture.
Put it down. Show me where the damage was to your house. In the back end.
It was in all 3 sides. Yes, ma'am.
All 3 sides?
Just not the front. So,
okay.
yes,
And
ma'am.
you said that you didn't move from the back of the first house when your friend went all the way around the house. So my question now to you is, when you pulled up in your driveway and found the defendant's mother and this young man cleaning your house, where were they cleaning? Show me.
Okay, the mom was over here and her son was over here.
So the son was cleaning the house that he allegedly had nothing to do with vandalizing. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Step back. You two. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, ma'am.
You know, I sort of know that this is the last time, at least I believe that this is the last time you're going to be in court like this. I sort of have that here because I think that this was an unpleasant experience both for you and your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you get older, you realize that you don't want to repeat unpleasant situations because you get embarrassed. Your mother is embarrassed. I mean, your mother had other things to do rather than putting on plastic gloves and going scrubbing off latex paint on somebody else's house that day. So if you do the wrong thing happens. Now, if you do the right thing in life, it's not a guarantee that everything will go well for you. But I'm going to tell you, it's a damn good start. So if you try to do what is being a good citizen, what's being a good person, what's being a good neighbor. Do you live in a house?
Yes.
Does your mom own that house?
Yes, but I think she's still paying her mortgage.
Well, that she owns it if she's still paying a mortgage, but that's observant. So she owns her own house.
Yes.
How do you think she would feel if somebody came and threw paint on her house?
Upset.
Right. Because she's paying a mortgage. She wants it to look nice. She wants you to have a nice place to live. So you seem like a nice young man. And you have to realize that there are repercussions when you do the wrong thing. This lady had a house. She built an extension. She repainted the house. And somebody comes along and for sport vandalizes it with their friend. Because this was what we call a joint venture with your friend. Then you had to get your mother involved. This was on a weekend.
Yes.
So on a day when she doesn't work, she would ordinarily clean her own house. So instead she had to get all dressed and ready and go and scrub a stranger's house. Not fair, right? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,900. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Devastated because I'm a teacher, a single mom of 2, and I've been working for years to save. I work 2 jobs, so it's heartbreaking.
Ultimately, I'm the one who is going to be responsible for paying, so.
No, I think they were just 12 or 11, whatever age they were, and just wanted to do what they wanted to do.
I hope this will put me on the path to do the right thing, and hopefully I really, really will try my best to not make this kind of mistake again.
That actions have consequences.
Ready to put it behind me.
Oh, how you love the youth and to set them on the right path. That was a very well-spoken, seemed confident, smart 11-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think you scared it into him to make the right choices. And this seemed like a one-off type situation for him. It didn't seem like this was a trait that he carries on daily, in his regular life. And you never know, this experience for him might just be the thing that keeps him from ever doing anything like this again. It might be the little voice over peer pressure, over, instigation that could save him from making another mistake in his young years.
I used to say that in family court all the time, that I thought it was unwise to allow young people like this, or a little bit older, who committed these acts of vandalism, knocked over somebody's vegetable cart, took rocks and threw it and broke a window. And they would go into the probation department and they would say, don't do that again. You don't want to have to come in here with your mother again. And they let them go home. And I said, it's a tremendous mistake, because if the first time you're brought into court, it's an unpleasant experience. People usually do not want to replicate an unpleasant experience. But if there's no consequence to doing these little petty things,
then there's no contrary voice when you're about to do it.
There's no consequence, then that escalates, because there has to be a consequence. As a parent, if you tell your child to be in at 9 o'clock and they come in at 11, and there's no consequence, then they're going to come in at 12. And if there's no consequence, then they're going to come in next Thursday. And you're going to deserve it, because there has to be consequential behavior. Anyway, I'm getting off my soapbox.
Case 3143, Child versus Hudson. All parties, please come forward.
Taylor Child is suing her former friend, Crystal Huddleston, for the cost of a motorcycle and riding boots.
I know very little about motorcycles. I know that the couple of times I've been on them, I didn't like it. Just seems to me that when you're surrounded with 3,000-pound cars, you want more around you than fresh air. So maybe I'll get somewhat of an education doing this case. I doubt it.
Taylor Child is accusing her former friend, Crystal Huddleston, of owing for the cost of a motorcycle after crashing it into a tree. Crystal is countersuing Taylor for medical bills.
Miss Child, you like motorcycles.
Correct.
And you've been riding them a long time.
Yes.
And you purchased a motorcycle from someone used, and you paid $3,500 for it.
Yes.
Who's Scott?
Right here, ma'am.
That would be him. You and Scott work on the motorcycles together.
Yes.
And you brought the motorcycle back to your place, and you did some work on the chain and a lube job and who knows what else. But then when you tested it out, Scott thought, according to you, it needed a little more work, and he was going to take it back to his house to do a little more work on it. So far, correct?
Correct.
So Scott took this motorcycle back to his house. Now, this young lady doesn't ride motorcycles, but she rides as a passenger on motorcycles, but she wanted to learn about it, and she, too, was a friend of Scott's.
Correct.
So she was at Scott's house while he was futzing around with this motorcycle, and she decided she wanted to ride it and wanted Scott to help her learn to ride a motorcycle. Is not an answer. Is that correct?
No.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
The morning of September 29th, Taylor had my riding equipment in her car, and she and I had an agreement that I was going to learn with Scott on the bike. The night previous, we had a group chat.
And at some point, you had to have asked her if you could ride the bike. You know, certain things are common sense, certain things aren't common sense. Don't think about your ultimate counterclaim here, because that's not going to be good for you anyway, in all probability. You understand that?
Yes.
First, we have to take responsibility for our own actions. But at some point, you asked her if you could ride her bike.
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, you knew the bike was at Scott's house.
Yes.
And when Scott gave you the bike to ride, you rode it alone.
Yes.
Had you ever ridden a bike alone before?
Yes.
How many times?
5.
Whose bike?
Ryan's bike.
And Ryan is your?
Boyfriend.
Okay. When Ryan let you ride his bike 5 times, were you good at it?
I would like to think so.
Well, then what did you want to ride her used bike for? And learn how to ride?
I wanted to get more practice before I bought my own bike.
Okay, so you wanted to get more practice. Why didn't you ask your boyfriend if you could ride his bike?
Ryan and I were in a fight that morning.
So you mean instantly you had a fight with him in the morning, and then you were going to pursue your dream of motorcycle riding that day. Am I understanding you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. So this is what happened. So you got on the bike and you wrecked it.
Yes.
And she's suing for the wrecked bike.
Correct.
And you're counterclaiming because you said, I didn't know that it didn't have a lube job, and I was terribly injured, which you were, hospitalized, right?
Yes.
Because that's what happens when you ride something with just the air around you. You weren't in an accident with another bike or a car. You wrapped the bike around a tree.
Yes.
And of course, that had to be somebody else's fault. Not the fault of the rider who was learning how to ride, but it had to be somebody else's fault who let you use the bike to learn how to ride.
No, I take full responsibility for crashing this bike.
You take full responsibility. So why don't you pay her for the bike instead of counter-suing her for $10,000?
The bike was unregistered, uninsured, and Taylor and I have an agreement, or had an agreement, that I would pay her in full by March 29th.
Pay her in full for what?
For the bike.
And?
And the boots that she gave me.
So you had an agreement with her after this incident. By the way, what was the date of the incident?
September 29th.
Okay, so you had an agreement after you destroyed the bike and after you recovered from your injuries, you had an agreement with her that you were going to pay her for the bike by March 29th.
Yes.
Why didn't you pay her?
I have been paying the medical bills off.
Okay, well, that's fair. So in anticipation of your not paying her back, she's suing you now, and you decided to counterclaim.
Yes.
That makes my life so much easier. Good. Did she agree to pay you back for the bike?
Yes.
She's telling you this in legalese, we call this an anticipatory breach. She's telling you now on March 19th that she's not going to pay you on March 29th. So 10 days from now, she's not going to pay you because she's been paying off the medical bills. That's why we're here.
Correct.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done here. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
What happened is Taylor blatantly lied and said that I could ride her bike, and that's it. It's cut and clean. I crashed. I take responsibility for it, and that's it.
I didn't get full permission. It was discussed prior to the case, well, prior to the incident, that I would teach her, and they already had access to my bike.
I was on gravel. I lost control of the bike. I popped a wheelie, and then I popped another wheelie.
I received a call from Scott, my witness.
The clutch gave out, and I couldn't stop the bike, so I made a decision to not go into my car and go into a tree.
He said, hey, get here quick. Crystal's in an ambulance. She wrapped your bike around a tree.
Taylor and I are not friends.
We're not friends.
I don't like snakes. I'm sorry.
Rarely do we get one that easy. I mean, it was clear she rode the bike, she wrapped the trees, she damaged it.
She made an agreement to pay for it?
Made an agreement to pay for it, and although she didn't reach exactly, the 10 days from now in which she would have reached it, I think plaintiff was entitled to it. And you assume the risk when you do dangerous adult activities, such as riding a motorcycle, and just like you said, you can't shift the blame after the fact to anyone else out there. That's your own fault, and anything that comes to you deserves to come to you.
That's it. Well, you need all kinds of IQs.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are suing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, for wedding costs and vandalism to Noe's car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3108, Gonzalez Ramirez versus Cortez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're Miss Gonzalez.
Yes, I am.
This is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your daughter and Mr. Cortez were engaged to be married.
That's correct.
How old is your daughter?
She's 28.
And you, sir?
27.
How did you meet?
We had met on a dating app back in October 2020.
Okay. And when did you become engaged?
It was sometime in 2022. It might have been around April.
Did you give her a ring?
I did.
Your Honor, they were engaged in September 2022.
Did it sound better?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, this is what the case is about. Miss Gonzalez, it is your claim that wedding plans started to be made, you were paying for the wedding, and he broke off the wedding and broke off the marriage, future marriage, and you believe he is responsible for the non-refundable deposits that you put down on venue and maybe music, flowers, I don't know what. And that's part of your claim. You, sir, are her son, her brother, and it is your claim that Mr. Cortez vandalized your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cortez denies that he vandalized your car. So I will hear your proof with regard to that. Mr. Cortez says that there is some property. Your harassment allegations don't reach the level of harassment, sir, but you claim that they have certain property that belongs to you.
Yes, and I do have a text message from Kristen Ramirez stating to one of my friends that she has my property and has refused to give it.
Oh, so that will make my job much easier when I get to your counterclaim. Okay, so Ms. Gonzalez, you started to plan a wedding.
What happened was they came in and they spoke to Kristen's father and myself. They announced their engagement. And so we congratulated them. We said we would pay for the majority of the cost, but that we did have some things that we wanted them to pay for.
That's okay.
So at the time, I wasn't too familiar with Michael. And so just as precaution, I did ask him if he would be okay if he broke off the engagement, that he would reimburse for the venue, because the venue is something that is not always reimbursed.
Did you ever have that discussion with her?
No.
I can't tell you how many weddings that I've made, Miss Gonzalez. Children, grandchildren, made and paid for. I have never had that discussion with any of the future spouses. If you break it off, you have to reimburse me for down payments.
It was
I never.
Yeah.
I never.
Just the way that he was acting, it made me feel like I needed that reinsurance.
I don't believe you, actually, at all. Because if I, as a mother, you have two children?
Yes, I do.
If you have two children, if I had certain reluctance about either the character or the commitment that one of my children's future mates have, it wouldn't be about returning my money. I would sit down with my daughter and say, you know, I'm not getting a great feeling about this guy. I have a feeling he's going to slip. And if I had a feeling I was going to slip, and if you wanted to extract that promise to him, you should have put it in writing. Right. Because it doesn't make sense to me, based upon my own personal experience, that that's not the way a new marriage starts with, by the way, if it doesn't work out, you're going to pay me back for this, right?
Right. Well, my means are limited. So
So are his.
Yeah. And so what we did was we had an agreement. We asked.
Just a second. Show me.
Well, we
show
had
me.
a verbal.
Just show me. I'm telling you, I don't buy it. But I'm going to listen to him.
Okay.
And I'm going to listen to any proof that you have.
Okay.
See any proof that you have where he committed to paying for the wedding in the event that he broke up the engagement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? She just told me that you said to her at some point, I will pay for your non-refundable stuff if something happens. Tell me your version of it.
So what she said is not true. What happened was on the night of October 1st, I had gone to her house to speak with Kristen, my girlfriend at the time. I wanted to talk to her about a prenup. My witness here.
Just a second. You wanted to talk to her about a prenup. Why?
Earlier in the year, Kristen made demands towards me saying she wanted to buy a house, but she only had $200 in her savings account and I had $40,000. So she was expecting me to make the down payment. And at the time I had savings, I had 2 cars, I have a master's degree. She was kind of expecting me to provide for her. And at the time I did not feel that was fair.
You mean that you were going to use your cash to buy a house?
Yes.
That was going to be in both your names?
Yes.
And you wanted a prenup so that you would get whatever you put into the house out of it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, because at the time she was pretty much telling me where we had to buy the house. It had to be within a certain...
Just a second. Would you sit down a minute and let your sister stand up?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're Kristen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Kristen, I want you to tell me about this house business. You had no money.
I don't have savings, but I had a job.
But you don't have money. You don't have savings. He had savings. You were living with your parents. You discussed with him buying a house?
We did in the future. It wasn't about buying a house. We had to have some form of living situation when we get married. That was the expectation. And that's what my mom discussed with him too, was that it wasn't him needing to buy a house then and there and in a certain area. We just needed to be able to live somewhere because we're getting married. How are we going to live in our
you work, you just told me, and he works. So you find an apartment and you each contribute to the rent and the expenses.
Yeah.
Is that what was the intention?
Yeah, and we're both on the lease agreement and I did pay half. Or I paid as much as I could.
Did you live together?
We lived together, and then my brother also offered to be on to kind of help with costs too. So it was
kind of help with costs. You mean he lived there?
He also took up the spare bedroom.
Well, that would be a yes. He lived there.
Yeah.
So I have a copy of the lease. It's myself, Maria Gonzalez, and Kristen Ramirez. At the time,
okay, so you're on the lease.
Yes, I co-signed for him because he was hesitant in getting and securing a housing. We had less than 2 months, Your Honor, for the wedding. And I was very truthful with him, and I told him, you cannot live in our house. You need to secure housing. That was our agreement in the beginning, that you would be responsible for housing. I never said anything about buying a house or anything. It's just
you got a butt out of your children's business. You have a 28-year-old daughter. What are you giving him instructions for?
Because, Your Honor, he wasn't doing anything. He had a room.
Well, that's up to her.
Right.
That's not up to you. I mean, your daughter's almost 30. Why is that up to you when she's got a fiance? She's got to figure out what she's going to do with him. What did you have to do with that?
When we were discussing the wedding, we did say these were the expectations. You were to have a place for them to stay. It didn't matter where they were going to stay. I never said anything about you have to buy a house or you need to get an apartment or anything. It's just a stable
What
place.
other expectations did you indicate to him that you were expecting?
That he pay for the wedding license and that he pay for his clothing. That's the only thing that we asked.
You mean for the license and for his clothing for the wedding?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, claim Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, owes for wedding costs. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay, you were telling me a story, and let's get to it rather quickly, because what day is it today, Wednesday? Wednesday. Something about sushi for lunch on Wednesday. So you went to the house to discuss a prenup.
Yes.
And what happened?
Originally, at the time, me and Kristen agreed that we wanted to do a prenup, and this was something that she discussed between myself and my dad a year ago. At the time, Kristen was the one who wanted the prenup.
Because she was going to inherit a house.
Yes.
What house were you going to inherit?
I just want to correct that I did not discuss a prenup with his father when we discussed the
No,
engagement.
you discussed it, just the two of you.
It was between us and my therapist.
There was a breakup, Your Honor, in February, and it was between them.
Okay, we're going to forget about these wedding costs. I could see the handwriting on the wall a long time ago. You should have too.
Your
Would you
Honor,
tell me? Forget it. Not happening.
I do have messages that he was offering his Mercedes for payment reimbursement for the wedding.
Okay,
I do have.
I'll take a look at that. Would you mind telling me what happened when you went to the house to talk about the prenup? That's what you were in the middle of.
Yes. So we had discussed about wanting to do a prenup, and we agreed. And then about 20 minutes later, the mom came in to the apartment, started blowing up on me, saying, "How dare I make her daughter work? How dare I make her daughter pay rent? How dare I force her to sign a prenup?"
Okay. Kristen, you remember that discussion?
It was not.
Do you remember the discussion?
Yes.
All right. Just answer my question. These very easy.
Okay.
Things are common sense. You were having a discussion with him about a prenup. Originally, you wanted a prenup because of an inheritance that you anticipated. What inheritance did you anticipate?
I anticipated my father giving me a house.
And is that what started the prenup discussion?
No.
Did you ever discuss that with him?
No, not till that night.
I'm talking about that night. Do you remember that discussion?
Yes.
Did your mother come in during the course of that discussion at any time?
We went to his apartment, to our shared apartment.
Who went?
She came in. Me and my mother. He had left our house to the apartment.
So he went to the apartment, and you and your mother went to the apartment. And do you recall what your mother was indicating to Mr. Cortez as regard to the expectations she had, or the two of you had, with regard to what he was going to do to take care of you?
Yes.
And what did your mother say?
She sat him down and she said that the way he had been acting up until this time was not acceptable. That it was originally stated that if he was having cold feet, we gave him multiple times if he wanted to postpone the wedding, that he could. And he kept saying, no, I want to keep going with the wedding date, even after we had broken up and he wanted to come back. And my mom reiterated to him that he was supposed to pay for the venue if he forfeited the wedding. And she was discussing with him the verbal abuse that she witnessed leading up to this event. Because he knows I have really bad anxiety, and that she did not like seeing him use that against me when it came to me driving, when it came to me trying to find a better job, when it came to like trying to provide for the family. I tried my best as much as I could. And that's what she discussed with him on that night. It had nothing to do with all these expectations. It was just, I needed help being able to speak for myself, because like, I don't know if you can see I'm shaking. Like, I need help sometimes in order to help myself. And that's what she was here for.
He wasn't buying it. Do you understand? It's too bad. You said you had proof in writing that he somehow, someplace agreed to pay for the deposits that you had. I'd like to see what proof you have of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Just show me.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't show me anything other than that. Just show me that.
Yes, ma'am. Now, the first one is
Just a second. Who wrote this?
Michael Cortez.
He wrote it?
Yes, and he left it in my mailbox.
October 13th, 2020, I paid for the down payment for a home for me and Kristen. Both names on it. I would be putting down 40 to 50K. If we have kids, it'll go to them. To compensate for the wedding, I would be willing to financially support Kristen if she needs to focus on herself. Whether it's bills or rent, I would be willing to help. In addition, I would pay for a new wedding. I don't know what that means.
Your Honor, I never wrote that letter.
This?
Correct. I never wrote it or signed any letters.
He placed that in my mailbox.
Kevin, would you go over this? Give him this pen, and I want you to write the following. I don't want to throw away. Okay, that's all. Yeah, he wrote it. Well, this is a very nice letter. I don't know why you would deny writing this letter. This is a very nice thing. He does not say he's going to pay for a wedding.
He said he would pay for another wedding.
No, a new wedding.
On the text messages that he sent.
Just a second.
Yes.
Now I'm going to read the text message. This is nothing except a very nice letter from him. No, doesn't say here that he's going to pay for a wedding. He wants to make it work out. He would love that so much. I can offer my Mercedes since the front bumper is fixed and valued at $10,000. I would be willing to do couples therapy with Kristen, pay her bills, and do everything I can to make it right, only if this is what Kristen wants. I'll even sign contracts so we are all on the same page, but I understand you don't want me in her life. And if she feels the same way, I want my pictures taken down tonight. So this does not support your argument. If you're not going back to me because of the money, I can give you the Benz. It's worth $10,000. What's that about?
I'm not too sure, Your Honor.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
These emails suggest to me that you were very much in love with the plaintiff's daughter.
Yes.
And you wanted to make it work.
Yes.
And how did it not work? What happened?
The night of October 1st, when the mom blew up on me, she made all these threats towards me about legal action, physical harassment.
And is that when the wedding was called off?
Yes.
He says that I threatened him. I did not threaten
Whether you
him.
threatened him or not, you went there with your daughter.
I did.
And at that point, after this discussion, after these emails, which I see, and because he clearly felt strongly for your daughter, that's when the wedding was called off.
Yes.
Well, he didn't walk away.
Yes, he did.
I don't think
left
so.
that.
Yeah.
He left that day, that night after our discussion. He took everything out of the apartment and he left, Your Honor.
Okay.
He left a note that said, "I'm sorry," with his wedding ring on the pillow on the bed.
Fine. I would too. Don't get involved if your daughter's getting married, and I wouldn't do it if your son's getting married either. It's none of your business. Stay out of it. Keep your nose out of it. You can sit down now. Stand up. Noe.
Yes.
You were living in the apartment with Mr. Cortez that your mother co-signed for when your sister was supposed to get married and blah, 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 blah. You went to live with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say that something happened to your car. On what date did something happen to your car?
It was the 27th of November.
Of October. November.
If you don't speak, that's your problem. You get too much involved in your adult children's business.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are accusing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, of refusing to pay for deposits after their wedding was canceled. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay, November 27th.
Yes, Your Honor.
When had you seen your car prior to seeing it damaged?
That morning. I have pictures right here, if you'd like to see them.
I would, but first tell me what the nature of the damage was.
It was you scratched into the trunk of my car, and my back right tire was slashed.
And what evidence do you have that the defendant had anything to do with that?
We don't make enemies. Like, we don't have enemies. He's the only person.
Is what you're telling me you have no evidence to support your accusation that he keyed your car?
We do not have video footage, no.
I didn't ask you for video footage. I asked you for any evidence. Somebody saw it. He admitted it.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, well, then you don't have a case. You understand that, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did he owe you $1,000 for?
The $1,000 was for the damage to the car.
Did he ever acknowledge that he would give you $1,000?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, then he doesn't owe you anything. Okay, I can deal with that quickly. I have a counterclaim. The counterclaim says that they have property of yours. What property do they have?
Kristen Ramirez had sent a text message to one of my friends claiming that she has my property. I don't know exactly what all she has. She's refused to talk to me.
Just a second.
Yes.
You can sit because your case is dismissed. You actually understand that because you have no proof that he caused any damage to your car. Kristen, stand up, please. Before I take a look at the text that he has, what property, if any, do you have that belongs to him? Is not an answer. Let's go. What property do you have that belongs to him?
I believe he left a birth certificate at my house.
Where is it?
It was in the safe in my room.
So you have his birth certificate. What else?
I'm not too sure what else he left in there. He's the one that put them in the safe.
He says he has a list, which I will look at, that you sent to someone of items of his that you have. And I'm asking you, before I look at the list, what other items of his do you have?
Other than that, I have no idea. I haven't looked
Okay,
at
now
it.
I'll see the document that you're referring to. She's going to give you back your birth certificate.
Okay, I have it. It's going to be this message.
So far, I don't see what it is.
Right. It's not listed in there. She just acknowledges that she has my stuff. She kept it vague.
She's going to give you back your birth certificate. It's sort of misleading, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now we're going to get back to one other little thing that's gnawing at me before I finish this case. So with regard to your belongings, she's going to return to you within 5 days. Make sure it's sent and doesn't get lost in the mail. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any paper she has that's in your safe, including your birth certificate. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, I just want to get to this Mercedes-Benz. What was the Mercedes-Benz that you were offering for, sir? I can turn over the Mercedes-Benz. I want you to tell me something that I can believe.
Your Honor, I'm not too sure. I do have a receipt from the wedding venue that I emailed. They said that even if she were to cancel, she is, they accommodate with rescheduling. So it's not like she's out of all her money.
But she's just got to find another groom.
I mean, she could always throw a birthday party.
No, she can have another groom. You still haven't given me something that I believe with regard to the Mercedes-Benz. You mentioned it several times.
To be honest, Your Honor, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, you know, I usually don't like to split the baby in half, but it seems to me as if that there is some evidence that you agreed to participate in the event that something happened with the venue. And I don't necessarily think that you are 100% responsible for the breakup of this relationship. I think there was a lot of problems and interference on both sides. How much was the venue, the non-refundable venue, cost?
$7,050.
Okay. Mr. Cortez,
yes.
While it's usually not my practice to leave anybody happy that comes into my courtroom, I like when everybody is miserable when they leave.
Yes, Your Honor.
But she had $7,000 worth of expenses as a result of this wedding. And I actually think that it's fair that you each pay half of that. So I'm issuing an order for $3,500 for the plaintiff. She's going to return all of your papers and documents that she has. This case is now over.
This court is adjourned.
The mom made all these threats and harassments towards me. And that's exactly why I left the wedding.
He's not man enough to be my daughter's husband.
This is a woman that I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and she let her mom ruin the relationship.
I feel that God gave us a blessing in removing this piece of trash out of our lives.
I want to move on with my life, so as long as I can get out of my hair, I'd be happy with that.
There is someone better for my daughter out there.
I tell you, that was very sad. Not legally sad. It was a socially sad case because I think he really legitimately cared for her. I mean, the letter that he wrote, and he clearly wrote it. I don't know why he would deny that he wrote it.
Did a little forensic testing out there of your own?
Yeah, you're right, a little forensic testing. I know that's particularly kosher, but it looked right. But it was a really kind letter.
Yeah.
He did, in fact, talk about the Mercedes. This was before he left. He said, I don't want there to be this fighting back and forth because evidently it was clear that this was not the first breakup that they had. And it was very sad, and she, I think, actually cared for him a great deal.
Yeah.
Mama.
Too many hands.
Mama got in the way. She was trying to be very protective of her daughter, who clearly has an issue or two. But she was clearly trying to be protective and...
Went a little overboard.
Listen, if I were a young guy, and he's actually a year younger, I think than his ex-fiancée, I would be worried about that lady being in my life on a permanent basis. Yeah. You got out of the car, and he punched you.
Absolutely. He proceeded to keep pounding on me.
There is no indication here from you to the police that he ever put his hands on you.
He beat me up.
Be careful. I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
This is Judy Justice. Lucretia Gaines is suing her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, for assault and a false arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3030, Gaines versus Francis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gaines, who is this?
My witness, my twin sister, Lucinda Gaines.
And your sister is married, but in the process of divorcing the defendant.
Actually, they're already divorced.
When were you divorced?
August 18th, 2022.
Okay. The events surrounding this case happened in November of 2020.
Yes.
Each one of you claim that they were assaulted by the other. In November of 2020, your sister and the defendant were having trouble in their marriage. That be a fair statement?
Yes.
And your sister had complained previously to you that the defendant was trying to get her in trouble, alleging that she assaulted him.
Absolutely.
So on November the 8th, you receive a call from your sister.
No, we was already on the phone, Your Honor.
So you were on the phone with your sister.
Yes.
And I want you to relay the conversation that you had with your sister on that date.
Well, we were just sitting there chatting like we always do. We were just laughing, talking about her schoolwork. I was talking about my schoolwork. We both had tests coming up, so we were just relating to each other in that manner that we always do every day.
Okay, let's go. Move it along.
Anyway, all of a sudden, I heard, after an hour of talking to her on the phone, I overheard him say, "Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops." And I was like...
You heard him say, "Let's fight.
Let's do this without the cops. We could fight right now. We could
Just
fight
a second.
right...
I want to be very clear, because Whitney is taking, let's do this without...
The police.
The police. That you remember.
That I remember.
Don't speak. Let's do this without the police. And what's the next thing you heard him say?
They just started arguing, so...
Just a second. Would you go back, Whitney, please, and tell me what the plaintiff said? She said that he said two things.
Yes, let's fight. Let's do this without the cops.
Let's fight.
Saying that to my sister.
Shh. Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one was it? You said, let's do this without the police. That's one. Or let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one did you hear?
I overheard him say both things to my sister, and I just hung up after that.
What both things?
He said, I didn't have no idea he was there. I said, "Cinda, who's that?" She said, "Dwight." I said, why, what's going on? And then I just hung. She was
What's
like, "Oh,
going on?"
Yeah, and I just hung up. I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna hang up."
Why?
Because they was husband and wife. Maybe it was just something they was just going through. I didn't know.
Now, just a second. Let me explain something to you. I'm beginning to suspect what you're telling me is a whole lot of who shot John. You're on the phone with your sister. You're talking about tests like you're talking about every day, blah, 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 blah. Then you hear something that would cause me concern. You hear, let's fight. Let's do this without the police. And according to you, what you said to me was, so I just hung up.
I said, "Cinda, I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call you back." She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle this."
Just a second. Don't speak. Yes. Let's go through it again, because now we're getting a different story. Let's do this. Let's do this without the cops. And then what did you say to her and what did she say to you?
I asked her, "Who was that in the background?"
You said, "Who was that in the background?"
And she said, "Dwight." I said, "Oh, I thought he didn't be there anymore."
Okay.
And so she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna just call you back." So I said, "Okay."
Okay. She said, "Oh, I'm gonna handle it. I'll call you back." So you didn't just hang up. Just a second. You didn't just hang up.
No, I didn't.
You had a continued conversation.
I didn't really want to hang up, but I hung up because she
You didn't just hang up. You had a conversation with your sister, and your sister said, "I'm going to handle it." That's what you said she said to you.
Absolutely. After 20 minutes, I called. So I felt like they got into a fight. Why I felt that way, because
I don't care why
he had her
just
arrested.
Just a second. I don't care why you felt that way.
Yeah. I
don't care what you felt that way.
Because he got her arrested on October 27th, 2020 for assault. I had no idea. I was calling her.
So we had her arrested in October for domestic violence.
Yes, 2020.
And then so a month before, he had her arrested for domestic violence. What happened to that case? Do you know, Miss Gaines? Do you know? The answer is yes or no.
No.
But you know he had her arrested. Okay, so now we're in November. Your sister has clearly allowed him back into the house, right? She didn't say, "It's Dwight, he doesn't belong here, I'm going to call the police," because according to you, she's having a pleasant conversation with you. And he's talking, "Who is that Dwight? Oh, he's here." So you went to your sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't call the police because you were worried. You went over to your sister's house. Now I want you to tell me exactly what happened. Be careful, because you know, I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
Yes.
What you're about to tell me, I've heard 100 times, all different kinds of versions, but certain things make sense and certain things don't. Do you understand? So now I'm going to...
I thought the police would be there by the time I got there because my sister told me...
I don't care what you thought. She told you what?
She told me she was going to go to jail and I just
just a minute. We're getting a lot more into this conversation
Yes.
now. Hold on. First we started with I hung up. And then you said, my sister says to me, when
I called back, she said...
Just a second. So you called back and you got her on the phone.
I said,
okay.
Lucretia Gaines claims her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, assaulted her and lied to the police. Dwight is countersuing, claiming he defended himself from Lucretia's attack.
So you waited 20 minutes and you called her back.
Yes.
And you did, in fact, get her on the phone.
Yes, and that's...
Just a second. Now, I want you to go back to what she told me 4 minutes ago with I called.
I did.
And she didn't answer.
She did not answer.
After 20 minutes, I stay home. After 20 minutes, I called. I felt they got into a fight. Why I felt that way? Because he had her arrested. I was just scared
you
for
called
her.
and called. So now you
on my
called.
way halfway there, she answered the phone.
You called and she answered.
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me about that conversation before you went over there. I said to her, and she said to me, let's go.
I'm going to jail. She said, well, I'm going to jail now because he called the cops. And then I said, oh, okay, well, because I just felt like she was going to go to jail because she got arrested.
I don't care what you felt.
Anyway, I was only going to get my nephew.
You called her and she said, I'm going to go to jail.
She said he called the cops, so I think
he
I'm going
called
to
the
jail.
cops.
Because
he had a restraining order against her.
Protective order.
Right. And clearly something happened in that 20 minutes between the time you were talking about your tests and the time you got her back on the phone that suggested to you that something had transpired when she said, now I'm going to go to jail. So you went over there because you knew about the protective order because you knew she had gotten arrested in October. So now you go over there to do what?
To grab my nephew because last time I went when she couldn't go back to her home that he moved in with her, he didn't even feed my nephew. And that's what I was afraid of.
Just a second. Is that their child?
No.
You went over there to get your nephew.
Yeah.
Now, what happened when you got there?
When I got
slowly, because right now you see, it doesn't go well.
I know.
You understand?
Understood.
Okay. So now you go over there.
When I got to their home, the defendant was standing outside. I finally pulled up. I saw no cops. So I asked him, why you keep calling the cops on my sister? That's when he took it upon himself to hit me in my face, knock me off the curb, because I guess it needed to fit his narrative. Come to find out, he called the cops and told the cops that my sister called me over there to fight him. Why would I fight for my sister? I shouldn't have went over there, but I did because I was worried about my nephew. She told me to. She asked me to get him the last time. She was like, can you go to the house and grab my nephew?
You left that out 5 minutes ago.
Sorry, because it was so much. And it had been so long ago.
Well, that's why you're supposed to bring a case as soon as you can after the event. The reason I assume you didn't is because COVID struck and they didn't dismiss both of your cases until recently.
Yeah.
So neither one of you could have come to civil court. I assume that that's why you waited 2 years. I really don't care. Now, that's what you say happened, that you came over there and got out of the car and calmly said to him, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister?
Yes.
That's what you remember you said to him?
Yes.
Calmly. Why do you...
calmly, really agitated, because I was home doing my own thing, you know, and it was
I want you to tell me what happened. You got out of the car. Clearly, you're bigger than he is.
Exactly.
Clearly, you're bigger than he is. So is your sister. You got out of the car, and now you're agitated. So you didn't just ask him. You said, why do you keep calling the cops on my sister? And he punched you.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
and knocked me off the curb. I was stuck under the car where he proceeded to keep pounding on me in my head. And I almost lost consciousness, which I did lose consciousness. My hands was all cut up. I have proof from trying to cover the blows, but I had nowhere to move because of...
Just a second. What part of your hand was all cut up?
Both of my hands, because I was trying to hold it, because I was on the concrete.
Just a second. Your knuckles on both hands were cut up. Mm-hmm. That's not a defensive wound.
Those are?
No. That's not. No, dear. That's not a defensive wound. This is a defensive wound. This is from hitting somebody.
But I'm trying to grab my hoodie down so he could stop punching me in my face. So that's what was happening because I was trying to
I still don't understand why you got...
I don't know how I got
I don't know. I don't know either.
I don't know
whether you're going to show me. I'm going to look at all your proof. I'm just examining you first since there are cross complaints here. You're trying to speak over me.
Sorry.
Yeah, clearly you're not intimidated by your surroundings. That's her version of the events. She came over to the house and she asked you why you keep calling the cops on my sister. And you punched her and kept punching her until she almost lost consciousness. Now, you want to tell me your version of these events?
Okay.
How long, by the way, had you been in the apartment with her sister?
6 or 7 years.
No. You had her arrested in October. So clearly she was arrested and she was out of the house. Is it your house or her house?
Her house. She wasn't out the house.
So she was arrested and you were both still living in the house together?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Since October?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were there and she was there?
Same way, Your Honor.
Same way?
Yes.
She was released by the police and you were there, she was there, and her son?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes, it was a partial.
Don't speak.
Okay.
So when you said, what's Dwight doing there, you clearly didn't know that they were still living together.
No.
Good. So now you tell me your version of the events of November 8th, 2020. Tell me what happened with...
Lucinda was keep coming at me.
How did she keep coming at you?
Like coming up in my face, like she want to fight with me. And I never want to fight at all.
That is not true. If you say one more word, I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
That wasn't me, that was her.
Oh, you're easy. You're going to be gone. Did you call the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, did you call the police before Miss Gaines got there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so now you called the police, and clearly she heard it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she said to you, I'm going to get arrested. That's what you said.
Because it was a...
Did you say something?
Lucretia Gaines has accused her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, of assaulting her and lying to the police. Dwight is countersuing Lucretia, claiming she assaulted him.
So you called the police and you went outside.
I went outside first before I called the police.
You went outside and called the police from outside?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
When I called the police, I stepped down to the sidewalk and I was there waiting for the police to come. I heard a car speed come around, hear her yelling, I hope you're not calling the cops. I say, of course I'm calling the cops. She pulled over to the side and come up towards me, ready to fight with me. I never want to fight. I turned my head around. She was already there in front of me, sizing me up, and I just make a mistake and look around. And by the time I made that mistake and look around, she knocked me over.
And?
I saw her about to hit me again. When I hit her, she fall, and I ran off, try to escape. She get back up and running me down. I couldn't run no more because I was going towards the hospital direction where I was going. When she caught up with me, the cops turned up.
Okay. May I see the police report, please?
I have one.
Well, it's practically impossible to determine which one of you instigated the physical part of this altercation. Each of you claimed that the other threw the first blow. Listen carefully to what I'm saying. That's what she says, and you said that she hit you first. So it's impossible to determine who hit who first. However, the police report is very telling. It says that when the police arrived, they found you on Kensington Street. And you told the police, you're Lucretia.
Yes.
Said Francis, that would be him. began to walk down Kensington Street. So the fight had begun, and he got up and started to walk away towards Chapel Street, which is consistent with what he said. And Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. That's what the police report says.
I can show you. I couldn't even run. I had torn meniscus.
Just a second.
There's no way.
I'm telling you what the police wrote in their report that you told them. And it's totally consistent with what he said, that he was trying to walk away.
I was running.
After he beat me up.
Listen to me. You went over there furious.
I wasn't furious.
Oh, yeah.
Just
a second. You went over there furious.
Absolutely not.
Your Honor,
Absolutely not.
Can I tell my story, please?
Can you tell your story?
Yes, please.
Oh, be my pleasure. I got a couple of questions to ask you as long as you want to testify. Okay. There is no indication here from you to the police or any other authority that he ever put his hands on you. What you complain about him is that he's disrespectful, he taunts you, he says nasty things to you, he calls you names. In response to that, you assault him.
No, I don't, ma'am.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
He had me falsely arrested. Yes, he's small in stature, but I don't know how he keep manipulating the system. This man is dangerous.
You have to understand something. You told the police that he doesn't...
We never had a physical altercation. That's why I don't know where he's getting these things from. It's like once he found out we were going to divorce, he didn't want to leave the house. So that's why he kept having to try to put a case on me.
All may be true.
Yes.
There is no indication here, as a matter of fact, quite the contrary, that he ever put his hands on you.
He never put his hands on me, and I never placed a hand on him.
Your sister did. Now you can sit down.
Go.
Can I just tell you how we even got here?
No.
All I want to say.
No, I'm just telling you. I don't care how you got here. This happened 2.5, 3 years ago. And the reason that you're here is because of an incident that had in its beginnings you going to a place where you had no right to be.
Can I please show you the medical reports? Because there's no way I ran down the street.
Just a second. I'm going to read what you told the police.
That was...
After a brief verbal altercation, Francis punched her in the face. They both began fighting in the middle of the street. Francis then began to walk down Kensington Street towards Chapel Street. Lucretia said she ran after Francis and began fighting with him until the police arrived. Okay, your case is dismissed.
All right.
Now, you have any medical records of your injuries?
Yes,
I'd
Your
like
Honor.
to see them.
I have scar to it.
Just a second, I'd like to see them.
I'm telling you, I did not run after him. How can I run? How can I run after him if my knee, a torn meniscus?
Hey, do you want me to play the tape of you walking through the door into the courtroom? Yes, you did.
I could walk, yeah, but I'm
right,
still in
you
pain
did.
for the rest of
I
my
can
life.
play the tape back
I
for you
have to
if you
get
like.
surgery, Your Honor.
Not only is the case going to be dismissed, but because I see you can't control yourself. Even in a courtroom, you can't control yourself. I'm hearing his case now. He's got a cross complaint. And as far as I'm concerned, you were the aggressor. You went there.
I did.
To a potentially aggressive situation by yourself.
Yeah,
by yourself.
She had something in her hand too. I never see what it was, but I know she threw it away.
Do you think I need your help?
Okay.
Forget it. Telling you, this man is dangerous. You'll see he'll be arrested again.
See what I mean? You can't control yourself. You want me to believe that you got out of the car and calmly said, "Why are you calling the police on my sister?" Somebody who can't control themselves in a courtroom. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. Your claim is dismissed.
All right, thanks.
Court is adjourned.
I'm just sad about the whole situation because I feel like I should have won this case.
Everything is in facts, and that's how it happened. It was the truth.
I just figured she was going to jail, so I just wanted to get my nephew and leave.
I want to be a good parent.
It goes on. He's manipulating the system, and it shows.
That whole case just seemed like a mess all the way around. I think the plaintiff went there maybe a little hotter than she was ready to admit. I think the police report seemed enlightening after you took a look at that and read her own account of what she told the officer. And, you know, he didn't seem like Prince Charming either, though. So I'm annoyed that you gave him the judgment. I agree with it because it was so unclear?
I gave him the judgment, actually.
Because she couldn't control herself.
Because she
I knew.
couldn't, because you're in a courtroom setting and you try to take somebody's demeanor in a courtroom setting, which is intimidating. I mean, I'm intimidating. I know that I'm intimidating. Couldn't control herself.
Yeah.
You know, you have to couple the law with common sense. He's no doll, for sure. But he extricated himself from the house because, according to her,
And then down the street.
he was outside when she got there. The police report was clear. He again tried to extricate himself by walking away. And when the police arrived, they were fighting on the street. Again, because she had caught up with him. She said she went there to get her nephew. You can call the police and say, I think there's going to be a problem. Would you take me over there? There's a domestic case. But she went over there hot. And the reason he was awarded money is because she couldn't control herself, even here. There was no question in my mind that she was the aggressor.
No, I agree.
We were not getting along.
That is not true, Your Honor.
You would go out with friends. He said, I want you home by 11:30.
Correct, I got a curfew. He actually locked me out of the home, and that's why I had to get out.
None at all.
This is Judy Justice. Mario Corielli is suing his ex-fiancée, Deidre Ann Weiser, for stolen property and unauthorized credit card charges.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3062, Corelli versus Weiser.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Corielli, you and the defendant met in 2020.
Yes.
She was living in Ohio with her son, correct?
Yes.
She was a young teenager.
14.
And after you met, you decided that it would be right for the two of you if Miss Weiser and her son moved in with you, relocated to the state of Florida.
Yes.
And when did that take place?
I believe after we met, within 3 or 4 months, she moved down to Florida.
What month and year would that be?
It had to be before the school year. Could be the September, when the school started.
When the school started? I don't know,
September
sometimes
to
August, sometimes
2020,
September. Do you remember when you moved?
We were during a pandemic year, 2020. So I believe it was by the fall of the 2020.
Is that right?
August of 2021.
Oh, I missed a year.
August of 2021.
Correct.
And when did you leave the house? When did you leave?
Ohio or?
Florida.
I left Florida March 12th of 2023.
How did you get from Ohio to Florida?
My son and I flew on a plane to Florida.
Did you have a residence in Ohio?
Yes.
What did you do with that residence?
I kept that residence.
And you returned to that house?
I have returned to the house numerous occasions for holidays and things.
But when you left the house ultimately in March of 2023, you went back to that house?
No, I stayed in Florida.
Oh, you decided to relocate?
Correct. I had already changed my residency to Florida, and I have a nursing license in Florida as well, so I was choosing to stay in Florida.
Okay. And when you left in March, where did you go?
So I went to a friend's place that offered me and my son a room at his home.
And how long did you stay there?
I'm still there.
And is this the friend that you met while you were living with the plaintiff?
Correct. He left on Sunday to go to Maryland.
No. This is a friend that you met while you were living with
Correct.
the plaintiff, a male friend.
Yes.
So you've been living with him for approximately 6 months.
Correct.
In what kind of place?
A condo.
Now, from August until March, when you left, what kind of work were you doing?
I was working, when I moved to Florida, I worked with Mario in several of his businesses. So he had a bar on Marco Island, Mario's Neighborhood Bar and Grill. I managed it, cleaned it, shopped for the bar. And then I also did some sales tax and things for his building supply. So I was working with him.
Were you paid a salary?
Yes.
Were you on the books paid a salary?
I would assume so. I just received a check.
You got a check?
Yes.
Okay. Every week, every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
And what was the check?
$1,100 and some change.
Did you have a car?
Yes, I had a Jeep.
Did you have that shipped or did you buy it?
I bought the Jeep.
In Florida?
Correct.
Was it new or used?
No.
Did you buy it?
Your Honor? Okay, I'm sorry.
Did you buy it for cash or do you have a loan on it?
I do have a loan on it, and he was making the car payments.
Who put down the down payment?
I believe Mario did.
Who paid for the insurance?
Mario did.
In whose name is the car titled?
Me.
Yours.
Future advisor, yes.
Who pays for the insurance now?
I do, and my fiance does.
Oh, so the person that you're living with now is a fiance?
Correct.
Okay, so you pay for it?
Yeah.
Mario does not?
Correct.
And who pays for the car note?
He does, my fiance.
And what kind of work are you doing now?
I did have a nursing job, but because of the type of career that he has, we travel. So I am working with him.
So you're not working?
Correct.
Which is why he's paying those bills?
Correct.
Sort of like Mario was doing when you lived with him?
Correct.
This is what your case is about, sir. You claim that you went away on business, I assume, for a few days. And when you came home, the defendant was gone. And she took with her several items that belonged to you, which you want back, and that she also charged an expensive bag on your credit card, which she had no authority to do. Those are the things that you want. Is that right?
Yes.
So you want to tell me, Ms. Weiser, what items you took from the home when you left? You acknowledge you took some items from the home, and I get the sense from your answer that you did not purchase those items. He did, but they were extra items. At least some of them were extra items that he has no use for, that he had maybe duplicates of. So I'd like you to tell me what you took.
Absolutely. So when I moved here, I left my job as a nurse.
I don't want a whole story.
Okay.
I want to know what it is you took.
Bed linens.
When you left. Bed linens.
Set of towels.
Bed linens. How many sets of bed linens?
One king set.
So far, is that correct?
Yes.
What else did you take?
Set of towels.
Set of towels. Bath.
Yes. So a washcloth.
Just
hand
one
towel.
set.
So it was a total of 3 sets. So 3 towels, 3 washcloths.
Okay, so you took 3 sets of towels.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
What else did you take?
I took a set of silverware.
Set of silverware. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What else?
A toaster.
Correct?
Correct.
And a pizza pan.
Yes? What else?
I believe that's it.
Anything else that she took?
Well, she took a lot of the stuff that she actually bought for decorating the condo.
Oh,
in the house.
Just a second. That she bought?
With my credit card.
Mario Corielli claims his ex-fiancée, Deidre Ann Weiser, stole expensive belongings when she moved out.
Okay. Give me an example other than these things.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Well, I'm kind of really all over the map right now because
I don't want you to be all over the map. I have limited time, less patience. What else did she take?
Okay, she took a lot of stuff in there which I have no way for me to identify what they are. I only think I have like a credit card statements that tells how many times she purchased an item, which I'm not aware of.
I'm not getting involved with that, sir.
I'm not aware of.
Okay.
One of the main thing that she bought, which I never authorized that, was a Gucci bag.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a second. How much was the Gucci bag?
The Gucci bag was $2,200.
When was it purchased?
It was purchased, let me see, January 6, 2023. And 2 weeks prior, I spent $30,000 for an engagement ring. So why do you need a Gucci bag?
Just a second.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Mr. Curiel, the defendant left in March.
Correct.
March what?
23.
I left March 13th was the date that I actually...
So you would have received, sir, the bill from the pocketbook in February, the latest, the beginning of March, when she was still there.
Correct.
Did you have a conversation with her?
Well, yes, I did.
Just a second. When she was there, did you have a conversation with her about the Gucci bag?
After she bought the Gucci bag.
Yes, and you got the bill.
I said, why did you buy the Gucci bag?
Just a second.
Go ahead.
You weren't with her when she purchased it?
No.
Okay. Were you aware the date that she purchased it in January that she had purchased it?
No.
No. When the first time was it that you became aware that she purchased it?
When I received the statement.
The statement.
A month
Fine.
later.
Fine. So that was within 4 weeks. Then you had a conversation with her.
That's correct.
Okay. Just about the Gucci bag.
Just about the Gucci bag.
Okay. Tell me what the conversation was.
The conversation was, I cannot believe you go ahead and spend another $2,200 for a Gucci bag when I spent $30,000 for your engagement ring right around Christmas time. We just got engaged 2 days before Christmas. And then she went on a shopping spree to buy all the other nicks and necks, which I had no idea of.
Okay.
Until I received the statements in my hands.
We're talking about the Gucci bag.
Right.
Okay, and what was her response to you?
Well, response to me says, I don't thought there was anything about that. I just did it. That sort of response was. Not that anything says I'm sorry or whatever.
Gucci bag, let's go.
So I have evidence here of the date that I had texted him and asked him if I could get the Gucci bag. Christmas Day, I had bought him like 25 gifts. He opened and he bought me nothing. And so we were
When did he give you the engagement ring?
He gave me the engagement ring December 22nd.
Okay, well, that's a couple of days before Christmas. What happened to the ring, by the way?
I returned that to him.
Good. Okay, can I see the texts that you have?
Yes.
Well, you told him you were going to buy it. I don't see where he said it was okay.
Correct. He didn't respond. And then I went into the building supply. I was still working for him and asked him. And he said, if that's really what you want? And I said, yes. And so he didn't respond in the text message, but he did respond when I went to the building supply. And when it was delivered, which was January 11th, I actually took the box that it came in, plus it was beautifully wrapped, and opened it in the building supply in front of him. And he even joked around with some of the bar staff, because I was still managing it, that I had bought it. So I did open it in front of him at the building supply, and he did joke about it quite a bit.
That is not true, Your Honor. Okay. None at all.
Well, Mr. Curio, you had several options because she did open it in front of you.
She did not.
She did not. So you're saying you did not know about this bag.
And I still don't know now.
Well, you know about it now. Now you got a bill for it.
I know the bill, but I don't see the bag. I don't even know what a bag looks like.
Well, no, you got to text her what the bag.
Ma'am.
No, listen
Your Honor,
to me. Listen
the bag that you show today is $1,100. This bag is almost $2,200.
It doesn't say a price on it.
Okay.
The bag that she texted you.
I never saw that bag.
Okay.
Never.
Good. I have another question. Ms. Weiser, this whole transaction took place in January. You moved out with your son in March, and you moved into a home with a man who is now your fiancé.
Correct.
Okay. I'd like to know when you met him.
Mario left March 12th for Maryland to get some equipment that he had. I met him March 12th on the island at a country concert. He was made aware of my situation at that time. He had just moved into a condo, had 2 spare bedrooms. I had been seeking shelter, women's shelter at the time. And
I asked you a question. So, because I see from the complaint and answer that there was some issue with your comings and goings and him.
Correct.
You would go out with friends and stay out late, and he didn't like that. And actually, according to you, and he doesn't deny that, he said, I want you home by 11:30.
Correct. I got a curfew.
Well, depends upon how often you're out until 11:30.
My son was in Ohio on spring break at the time, so I did take the opportunity, and we were not getting along, to go out with friends on the island. And also, Mario was out late because he does own a bar. Last call's at 1, closed by 2. The bartenders usually got out around 3. So he came in at very late hours himself. So yes, I did take the opportunity to go out when my son was on spring break.
Okay. Now, the plaintiff gave you a credit card at some point in your relationship. When was that? That was after you moved to Florida, right after you moved to Florida?
Yes, because I was also purchasing our home groceries on that. I purchased the bar supplies.
So you purchased the bed linens?
Correct.
You purchased the set of towels?
Correct.
You purchased the silverware?
Correct.
You purchased the toaster?
Yes.
And you purchased the pizza pan?
Yes.
But you took with you, correct?
Correct.
And the bag, all on his credit card?
Correct.
And is it accurate that based upon these items, most of them, as opposed to the Gucci bag, would be considered necessaries?
Yes.
And was that the condition upon which he gave you the credit card? Because if it was not, then you wouldn't have asked him permission to buy the bag.
Mario Corielli has accused his ex-fiancée Deidre Ann Weiser of stealing his personal property.
Was that the condition upon which he gave you the credit card?
Correct. He had asked me to get things for the condo that he purchased for all of us to live in.
Right. But it would be accurate that because you didn't have permission to buy luxury items for yourself on this credit card, you asked him permission to buy it. Well, there's nothing here that demonstrates to me that he gave you permission to buy that luxury item. There's also nothing to suggest that you had the right to take the bed linens, set of sheets, silverware, toaster, or pizza pan. You had no right to take those things. And you took those things in March of this year.
Correct.
Okay. Do you want them back?
I think she used them already with the new.
She used them before. She used them before in your.
They were never used. They were still in the box. They're still in the bags. It's a brand new item.
Just a second. Don't speak, sir. Are you telling me the toaster oven had not been used?
It's a brand new item bought for the condo. They're all in the box. Everything got stolen at the same time.
So you just took these brand new items and took them with you?
Correct.
You can't do that.
He called the cops on me and tried to have me removed. While my son was gone, he actually locked me out of our home for 2 years. And I had to lift the garage, which I have a picture of. And then the very next night called the cops because he didn't want me in our home. And that's why I had to immediately get out.
That doesn't mean you take items that don't belong to. Just
go ahead. I would like to.
If it doesn't appear as if you're losing, why do you want to contribute to anything?
I was going to mention something else. Go ahead. Sorry, Your Honor.
Perfect. Because you're moving out doesn't mean you're permitted to take things that don't belong to you, that you didn't pay for. It also didn't give you license. He didn't give you license to buy this luxury item. I mean, I think it's unfortunate. I think that the plaintiff is more angry about the situation than he is about these items, but he has a legitimate complaint. And so, sir, what I want you to do is add up the items, and I'm going to give you a very short time to do that. When I say a short time, I mean like a minute.
8,000.
No. Add up the following items.
Oh, following item. Go ahead.
Bed linens, 3 sets of towels, the silverware, the toaster, and the pizza pan, plus $2,200 for a Gucci bag.
All linen.
That's it.
Okay, all linen, but $2,500. The Gucci bag, $2,200. Towels and all accessory, another $2,000.
Just a second.
So the total is $7,500.
Do you want me to say goodbye to you?
No.
Then I want you to look at your bills and tell me what the bed linens were, what the set of towels were, times 3, silverware, toaster, and pizza pan. Make a check mark and add up those things.
Your Honor, I'm a man. I never bought sheets before. I never bought linen before. I never bought towels before. So all of the receipts that I have, I highlights in here, that shows all the items that she purchased.
Did you understand what I just said to you?
Yeah.
What I just said to you was, you're going to be reimbursed for those items.
Yeah.
Add up those items. If there's anything else on your list that is not in the items that I just mentioned, bed linens, towels, silverware, toaster, and pizza pan, I'm discarding all of those items and I'm just going to reimburse you for the pocketbook. Do you understand?
Okay, the linen.
Perfect. Linens. How much?
$1,500 for the linen.
Show me.
Because
Show me. Show me.
Honestly, Your Honor, I'm not
prepared. Then I'll give you time.
Prepared for me.
Then I'll give you time.
Show you the linen in the towels because they all on the Amazon here.
Then you're not prepared for this case. I'm not giving you.
Well, I can give you the highlight that shows here what was taken.
The only thing that I'm reimbursing you for were the bed linens, 3 sets of towels, silverware, toaster, and a pizza pan. And if you can't identify how much those things cost, which was part. Listen, I don't live with you, sir, and you don't support me. So you got to listen.
Go ahead.
That's part of your proof, not what she purchased. She had your permission to purchase a lot of things, everything that wasn't an essential. She did not have permission to take those things. If you can identify those things and tell me how much they cost, I will reimburse you for those things because they were in boxes, which she acknowledges, and I assume now have been used, correct?
Correct.
If you cannot tell me how much they cost, I will issue a judgment in your favor for $2,200 for the Gucci bag. Do we understand each other? Don't say a word. That's my ruling. Now you have 1 minute to either identify those things or say, I can't. That's your burden of proof, sir. It's not mine.
Besides the linen, she utilized Venmo. I don't even know what Venmo is.
$2,200, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Maybe it's fair, but this was all part of control for him.
And no, that is not true at all. She's nothing more than a pathological liar.
I'm happy to, do what she asks and pay him back for the bag that was purchased, but he did know about it and he did agree to it.
The financial and the heart. The reason why, because I cared for the kid. I cared for her more than anybody ever cared for her ever again.
It's sad, but now we get to move on.
Also, we are men. I don't want to say it on TV, but we're very gullible.
It was a great Gucci bag, but shoot, if he wants it, he can have it too. I don't care.
I felt a little bad for that plaintiff. I mean, he proposed right before Christmas, and by his account, February, her account, March, she was seeing someone else and moved out and got engaged 6 weeks later to someone new after seemingly making her life very comfortable, giving her a credit card, a house, a car, saying go buy things to make a house a home. So I understand why he's bitter, but you still have to come with receipts, even if you're a man who's never bought linens before.
He was very generous. From the paperwork, he is 25 years her senior.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that works out.
Sometimes it doesn't.
And sometimes not. He'll be smarter the next time.
Hopefully.
Gave him money. You say he never gave you the car and he sold it.
Yes.
No, she didn't.
I have proof that she paid you for this car.
It wasn't a significant sum.
What?
I don't know how much.
I immediately don't like you already.
This is Judy Justice. Kayla Sams is suing her former partner, Brenton Pickett, for personal belongings, a car, and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3147, Sams versus Pickett.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
Sort of lived there sometimes, where he lived someplace with a child, right?
Yes.
Boy?
2 boys.
2 boys. How old?
3 and 4.
Where's their mother?
She's around. We have joint custody.
And sort of how many days a week would you say that you spent when you were together at his house?
Almost every day.
No, she didn't.
Don't speak out. You never know where it's going to go. Just because she says it doesn't mean it's going to hurt you.
Okay.
See, she may say something like almost every day,
Right.
and that's only going to hurt her. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you start spending almost every day at his house?
Around March in 2021.
Until when?
January of 2023.
Then you broke up and claimed he owes you all kinds of money and things that you weren't able to take out of the house, and you also gave him money for a car that you never got. That's what the case is about, right?
Yes.
Easy. Okay. You bought a whole bunch of electronics at a rent-to-buy. Give me the name of the company that was rent-buy.
Rent-A-Center and American Rental.
So 2 different companies?
Yes.
What did you buy at each of the companies?
With Rent-A-Center, I bought the Xbox One and then the TV. And with American Rental, I bought the PlayStation 5 and the sound speaker set.
In what year did you buy each of these things?
In 2020 is when I bought the Xbox One. 2021.
In just a second, in 2020, so before you met him?
Yeah, that one came before I met him, yes.
That one came before you met him. So in 2020, you bought the Xbox One and the TV?
No, the TV was bought later in 2021.
So that was bought after you met him?
Yes.
Now, you bought the Xbox. Did you finish paying for the Xbox?
Yes.
Prove it. Okay. Now, you're no longer a couple, right?
We never were.
Well, she would come over and visit, whatever it was. Let's say that you're a nasty guy and you just used her for the electronics and for whatever else. Let's just say you never dated, you were never together, you're just a nasty guy. Where is the Xbox?
It's with my son.
Where is your son?
At home.
At your house?
Right. We're at his mom's house currently, but...
Listen, double talker. You live with his mom? Do you live with his mom?
No.
Where is the Xbox?
At her house with my son.
How did it get to his mother's house?
She bought it for him, and he took it where he wants.
Just a second. How old is your son?
5. 5.
5. Okay. I immediately don't like you already. I wasn't sure if I liked her, but I don't like you already. Who is this?
It's my mom.
It's your mom. Should have tried harder. Should have tried harder.
Aw.
5-year-olds don't take Xboxes to their mother. She didn't give him the Xbox to take to his mother's house. She bought it before she knew your kid.
Your Honor.
Don't speak. First of all, with regard to the Xbox, it look like you're losing?
No, sorry.
All right. She bought the Xbox before she knew your kid in 2020. You say no? Prove that she's mistaken. Did you buy the Xbox?
No.
When was it purchased?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
You don't know? She just brought it over.
Yes.
And when she brought it over, did you ever use an Xbox? Do you know how to use it?
Yeah.
That would be a yes, not yeah. Yes, you know how to use it.
Yes.
And so you used it. And in 2021, when she came over, so your son now is 5? Uncross your arms. Your son now is 5?
Yeah.
So in 2021, he was a year and a half old, right?
Something like that, yeah.
I'm not great in math, but that would be about right.
He just turned 2 right when we got together.
So he was 2. Okay. Now, you're talking to somebody who's had a lot of kids, 13 grandchildren, got a great-grandchild who's a year old. They don't use Xboxes when they're 2. His father used the Xbox.
I don't.
Then she used it to play.
She didn't live at my house to play it.
Should have tried harder with him. So, where do you come from?
Indiana.
You want to go back to Indiana? You flew here. We paid for the ticket, right?
Yeah.
Get the Xbox back.
He will break it.
Shh. Oh, no, he won't, because he also, when he comes here, he gets an appearance fee, which you're not going to get until she gets her Xbox back. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
You understand it perfectly.
Yes.
Right. The appearance fee that you're promised is going to be zippity-doo-dah until she gets her unbroken Xbox back. Understood? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it depends upon how much it's worth to you. Now, Xbox, it's coming back to you. TV, when was it purchased?
5/3/2021.
What did you bring it to his house for?
He needed a TV because Miles broke his.
Because what?
Miles broke his, which is his youngest son. So I let him borrow it.
Now, did you pay for it from Rent-A-Center?
Yes.
I'd like to see proof of that.
This goes with that, and that statement that you have up there goes with this as well.
Well, these are all November 27th.
Yes, I paid them all off on the same day.
Okay, so this is the payoff
Yes,
statement.
that's the payoff statement,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, where is the TV?
At my house.
What?
My house.
Okay, we're going to make arrangements for her to pick up the TV. Same conditions. 0 money. Do you understand? Until she gets back her property.
Kayla Sams claims her former partner, Brenton Pickett, kept her personal belongings and never gave her the car she purchased from him.
Now, what other electronics?
There's a PlayStation 5 and a sound speaker set. And I know that he does not have either one of those because I've been told that he sold both of them.
Did you sell either one of those two things? Put your hands down. Did you sell either of those two things?
Once they're in my possession.
Just
Yes.
That requires an answer, yes or no.
Yes.
You sold the PlayStation to whom?
Someone on Facebook.
Should have done better.
You're so funny.
I'm not trying to be funny. I feel sad for your mother. I know she probably put in a lot of effort into you.
You would think.
Well, one would hope, and if she did, I feel sorry for her that she should have done better. Okay, so how much did you pay for the PlayStation?
$2,699. It came from the rental place, so I paid more for it because of the interest and everything, but I have the receipt right here.
May I see it, please? PlayStation and speaker set. Sold that too? What does that mean?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yes. Sure. Whatever you want me to tell you, I guess.
I don't want to be too hard on him. He doesn't have anything wrong with him, does he?
No, he does not. He has.
Oh, good. That's good. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't bullying anybody that had a pre-existing condition. His pre-existing condition is just that nasty. Okay. And how much was the speaker set?
I paid $904.54 for it. $904.54.
Okay. So the two things you're going to get back, and the rest of the things that he says he's already disposed of, come up to $36.03. Now we're going to talk about this car, which I have a little bit of a problem with, that I don't understand this car, because you got a settlement from a personal injury claim in May of 2022. And according to you, he offered to sell you a Dodge car for $4,500.
Yes.
Did he own the car?
His dad gave him the car, so yes, it was his car.
Are you still married to his father?
No.
You can stand up with him, move over. Who's his father?
Steve Pickett.
When did he give him this Dodge car?
I do not know the exact time frame, but I have a message from Kayla that says April 28th of 22, that he was giving the car to Kayla.
That's not what I asked you. I said, when did his father buy him or give him the car? What year?
I don't know the exact date. But
I don't want to know the exact date. I assume that you're in touch with him because you have grandchildren that I assume he needs your help taking care of when he has them in his custody.
Yes.
Right? I assume that.
Yes.
So then if I asked you in what year his father gave him this car, I guarantee you know the year. Guaranteed.
I would not.
They're separated. How would she know that?
I'm not married to his father.
I know you're not married to his father. Are you telling me you don't see your grandchildren?
Yes, I see my grandchildren.
Of course. And your grandchildren live with him. That's what he said. Some of the time, right? So when you see your grandchildren and they're with him and they're young,
yes,
you know that he's either at work. Does he work?
He works, yes.
Right. Do you ever take care of the children?
I live 2 hours away, so I don't take care of the children during the week, and I'm not there a lot, and my husband passed away of cancer, so no, I'm not there a lot. So I would not know the exact year. I do have a message from Kayla that she said that Brenton was giving her the car. So that's my knowledge of the car.
Okay. You have a message from her that he was giving her the car.
Yes.
Good. Now, she paid you $4,500 for the car, correct?
No.
How much did she pay you for the car?
She did give me money, but as I plan to give her the car, I don't know how much.
How much money did she give you?
But it was 2 years ago. I don't know.
What?
It wasn't a significant sum.
I have a text message right here that says how much it
May
is.
I please see what she has?
It's a joke.
It's okay.
Is it?
No, you're a joke, sir.
Okay.
You're a joke.
Oh, it's so funny.
My son is not paying you a blank dime. You are the one that paid him $4,500 for a car that barely ran. He doesn't owe you anything. If you have to pay for all this stuff, that's on you, not him. You've made him miserable ever since you left him almost a year ago. 313-23. Whose number is that?
That's my number.
Well, that's what you said to her. You are the one that paid him $4,500 for the car. Does that refresh your recollection, sir? Your mother got that figure from someplace.
From her.
So you mean she's believing her now? Just a second, she's believing her now. You're the one that paid him $4,500 for the car that barely ran. So she's saying she gave you money for a car that barely ran, and he doesn't owe you anything. If you have to pay for all that stuff, that's the electronics, that's on you because he's miserable. How do you expect him to pay almost $10,000? That's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. Okay, so she gave you $4,500. But my question to you is, you say he never gave you the car and he sold it.
Yes.
To somebody else.
He sold it to his children's mother.
Uncross your arms. How do you know that?
Me and are friends now.
You have any proof that he sold it to his children's mother?
I don't have proof of that, no, but I can get it in my phone.
Get it in your phone. So you and his ex, the mother of his children, are friends now?
Yes.
Did you give the car or sell the car to the mother of your boys? That's either a yes or a no.
I gave it to Kayla.
So the answer is you did not give the Dodge to the mother of your children.
No, I gave it to Caleb.
No,
like
just
it
a
says
second.
right here.
Just a second.
But you won't take our evidence, so.
I'm going to take your evidence. I'm just laying a foundation.
Kayla Sams is accusing her former partner, Brenton Pickett, of keeping her belongings and wrongfully selling the car she purchased from Brenton.
Now, you did not give the car that she paid you for to the mother of your children.
No.
The answer is no. I
Wasn't
want her
my
phone
car.
number.
You want his phone number?
That's absolutely right. Sarah, take it down. I'm going to go and call Miss. Find out what kind of car she drives, where she got it from.
487.
Okay. So please ask her if she has in her possession an Xbox.
Okay.
And we want to know whether or not she is driving a 2008 Dodge Caliber.
She is not driving it because the car, the front.
The car's what?
She's not able to drive the car. They had to jump it.
She can talk, but I can't.
Ask her whether she had the car and what happened to it. So you say he gave it to the mother of his children. I want to find out if that's true. Find out when.
Mm-hmm.
Show me the date that you took out $4,500 to give it to him.
I don't have that because when I got the settlement check, my lawyer, they deposited the check into his account and he wrote me a check for the remaining balance after he took what was owed to him.
I understand that.
So I have the settlement and distribution.
I don't need the settlement in that. I want to know when you gave him the $4,500.
May 5th or May 4th. It was the same day that I got the money.
Did you give it to him in check or cash?
Cash, standing in his living room.
In any event, his answer seems she's going to get me the information I need. I sold the car to Kayla. That's what you swore to, for $4,500. So that you acknowledge. Let's see if the ex-wife had. She was your wife or partner? Partner. Okay. Now, Kevin, I'd like you to go and take the first two documents that he has in front of him and bring them to me.
First. This is just proving the contact order was false.
What is this that you're showing me?
That's the picture she put in the contact order that I had nothing to do with. It's from a car wreck.
Just a second. I'm talking about a car.
Okay.
Does not like to answer on the first ring, so it took a few tries, but I got her. And she said about a year and a half ago, she wasn't certain on the exact dates, but she's had her new car for about a year and 2 months. So she figures about a year and a half ago is when she bought the Dodge from Brenton with Kayla's permission. So that's how she phrased it to me. So I said, you weren't sure of who the owner was, or you are? She says it was sort of a convoluted situation, but how it was presented to me was that I was buying it from Brenton and Kayla allowed that sale to take place. When I asked how much she paid for the car at that time, she said it wasn't a bill of sale or a proper amount for the car, but that she helped Brenton out with rent payments and other small things like that as a quid pro quo, you could say, for the vehicle. The vehicle is junked now. She said it was not safe to drive. She didn't feel comfortable having her children in it, so the car has been junked. And in regards to the Xbox, it is in full working order in her house with her son currently.
So I have proof that she paid you $4,500 for this car. And according to the lovely, you did, in fact, sell her the same car, she says, with your permission.
I did not give permission for that vehicle to be sold again. He probably told her that he had my permission. He did not.
The only question that I have is why did you wait so long to sue him?
Brenton was very abusive and very mean. And when I decided to finally leave, I sent my family to get my things and he wouldn't give it to them. And it took me a minute to get over everything that had happened. And I had to pay off all of this stuff as well. And he is in possession of it.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,103 plus the return of the Xbox. The defendant's fee, if any, will be held here until the Xbox is returned. Thank you very much.
How do I get that back from him?
You can take the auto and get a sheriff to go pick it up.
Okay.
This court is adjourned.
This is a scam artist.
He came in here with a few text messages that were irrelevant to the case. I really don't know what he thought he was doing. That whole case stacked against him.
It's what she does, bud.
I'm not dating no more.
I don't know. Can I go?
I'm ready for a brighter future.
You know, you always have a problem when the two exes have each other's phone numbers on speed dial.
Oh, yeah. I found it interesting, though, when I spoke to her, and I should have followed up, about the permission that she said, because that was the word she used. She said, he gave me the car, but Kayla gave her permission. And I should have followed up more, because then she denied, Kayla, the plaintiff, denied saying that. And if you were friends now, I feel like you might have gotten your story a little straighter before coming here.
I don't think that they intended that you would go in the back and call
No,
her to
of course.
verify.
That's the best part of the verification calls, is they're always a surprise.
He wasn't a nice man.
No.
Because if the other stuff was in his house and he knew that she had purchased it and they were no longer together, well, maybe he would say she purchased it and he kept it in the house and they were gifts. But he didn't. He sold most of it.
Sure.
He sold the expensive. Instead of giving it back, he sold it for the money. And there is absolutely no allegation that she owed him money for anything. She was the generous one and he was the taker. I don't know. Women need to nest. They pick on any piece of trash in order to nest. Police stopped you in your car. They found 2 handguns. They put you in jail. Who did you call?
My father.
No, you called your daddy. You called your daddy and you said, come and get me out. I'm in jail now. Don't be a wise guy with me, because I eat people like you for breakfast.
This is Judy Justice. Marvin Navas Sr. is suing his son, Marvin Navas Jr., for bail and attorney fees after his son was arrested.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3087, Navas versus Navas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How old are you, Mr. Navas?
25.
How long have you been living at home with your mother and father?
All my life.
Are you still living there?
Not right now at the moment, no.
Where are you living?
With my grandma in Van Nuys.
And you left because you had a disagreement with your father.
A huge argument, yes, ma'am.
Some time ago, you're going to tell me the date, police stopped you in your car, correct?
Correct.
On what date was that?
About 2 years ago, Super Bowl Sunday, on February 14th.
On Valentine's Day,
I believe so, ma'am.
2022.
2022, yes.
And you were stopped because, according to what I read, you were smoking, but you must have been smoking something other than cigarettes.
Marijuana, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay. In what state do you live?
California.
Was smoking marijuana in a car? You were the driver of the car, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that illegal in the state of California?
I believe so.
I would say so, just like you can't have a bottle of vodka and drinking it while you're driving. And when the police stopped you for committing a crime, which endangered a lot of people because, you know, when you're not totally together, you're not supposed to be driving a car, they found 2 handguns.
Correct.
Who else was in the car? It's not funny. I happen to not think it's funny. I know that you think it's funny, but it's not funny.
I mean, I got off scot-free, so I'm not thinking 10 years.
How many other people were in the car?
I believe 4 other people had a full car.
You know how many other people were in the car. You were driving.
I just said 4, ma'am.
4 others.
Yeah, full car.
And where were the guns found, sir?
I don't know. I was not the police, so.
No, but you were in the car. Don't be a wise guy with me, because I eat people like you for breakfast. I don't think you're either cute or accomplished. You're neither cute or accomplished.
I know I'm
At
cute.
age 25, you
I'm
don't live
cute.
on your own. You either live with your mother or your father. Then when they throw you out, you go and live with your grandmother. I neither think that you're cute or accomplished. Maybe young girls do. I'm an old lady. I fail to see your attractiveness, and I fail to see how any of this is funny.
You ever see my smile, man? That's pretty attractive.
It depends. Let me ask around. You find that attractive? No. Whitney, you're younger than I am, a little bit older than Sarah. You find that attractive?
They want to keep their job.
It's not only not attractive, but when your grandmother watches that, she's going to think you're a fool, along with a lot of other people. And it's going to be my joy, my absolute joy, to fill in the blanks. So you don't know where the 2 other guns were found, and everything got thrown out. So now you have no adult criminal record.
Correct.
Did you have a juvenile criminal record? Answer the question. Did you have a juvie record? Of course you did. You know everything. Wise guys like you always have a juvie record. So when they booked you, they put you in jail. Now, as a juvie, you had been taken into custody before, but I don't think that you had been put in an adult kind of situation, in an adult facility. So let me ask you a question. Did you call your girlfriend?
Nope.
Did you call your priest?
Nope.
Did you call your family physician?
Nope.
Yeah, I'll assume, for the record, Whitney, I'm going to assume that this accomplished 25-year-old who lives under the auspices of his parents or his grandma doesn't know how to say no, or no, ma'am, or no, Your Honor. He says no. I assume, sir, that you are not a graduate of any university.
Nope.
No. See. So you didn't call any of those people. They gave you a phone call. Who did you call?
I called my dad, tell him to get me out.
Just a second. You called your dad. 24 years old, and I live with you. I was smoking in the car, and they called me over, and they had 2 guns, and I'm in jail now. Yeah. What did you call your father for?
To get me out.
Why?
It's his job to protect me, right? You have kids?
What?
Ma'am? You have kids, ma'am?
5 and 13 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild. And I want to tell you something. This is one of them. And the last person they would call, any of them, if they got pulled over smoking a joint and there were guns found, the very last person that they would call is me. That's the very last person they would call. And they actually consider me a pretty good mother and grandmother. But they know you're going to act like a fool, call somebody else. So you called your daddy. You called your daddy. No, you called your daddy.
My father.
You called your daddy and you said, come and get me out. And he did. And he got you out. He paid a bail bondsman, which is what this case is about. You think this was going to be easy? Not easy. You don't mind my doing that to him, do you?
No, ma'am.
Great. Are you his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he your only son?
He's my only son.
He's your only son. I could tell. I could tell. It's nothing against you, but you can always tell when a little boy has been pampered by his mother and thinks that he's the cat's meow, even though he's unaccomplished. And he got you out, and he got you a lawyer. And that's what this case is about, Mr. Navas.
Yes, ma'am.
This is about the bail and the money that you spent on a lawyer.
That he spent.
Don't speak.
That he
If you speak, unless I speak to you, sir, I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
Sorry.
Or I'm going to tell Kevin to put you in your seat.
Sorry, ma'am.
Very good. So when I speak to you, like I did before, you can answer me. Now I'm speaking to your daddy.
Marvin Navas Sr. claims his son, Marvin Navas Jr., owes for the cost of bail and attorney fees after his son was arrested for illegal firearms.
Okay, so you are suing him for the $2,800 or whatever it was for the bail bondsman, and you also paid an attorney $14,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you paid this money to the lawyer and to the bail bondsman, what kind of work was your son doing?
Before that, he was working for a security company.
As a what?
In the warehouse.
So he was working at a minimum wage kind of job.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you knew that he didn't have $14,000 or $16,000. You knew that he didn't have that. And he's living with you instead of living on his own because he's not even earning enough money to have his own apartment or to pay for his own gas, electric, utilities, water, heat, air conditioning. So he's living in his room, in his old room.
Yes, ma'am.
Ultimately, the case was dismissed.
It's not completely dismissed, ma'am. The statute of limitation hasn't expired.
So is the case still pending?
Yes, because I have this email that.
Can I see what he's got?
Yes, ma'am.
So the case has not been dismissed?
No, ma'am.
The DA just hasn't filed on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, got it now. Okay, so I can't ask him anything else about these pending charges because right now his attorney's not here, and his attorney would not like for me to do that. Now, was your son still working in the warehouse when you had this incident with him that caused him to move out?
No, not when he moved out, ma'am. No.
Where was he working?
He wasn't. He got laid off.
When did he get laid off?
I gotta say, probably like August.
August of 2023?
2022.
22? Oh.
That's 23, actually. 23, actually.
Well, but this is interesting, sir.
That's right.
Because you say in your complaint that the charges were fully dropped against him in March of 2023, but that's not so.
That's what I assume, ma'am.
Well, no, but there wasn't, not according to this letter.
No, the reason I got that email from the lawyer, ma'am, is because I reached out to her to ask her about the bail bond exoneration letter, because my name was on the bail bond, and then that's when she sent that email stating that.
Okay. So now I want you to tell me, sir. You see, the boy says that he never had an agreement with you.
Never did.
To pay. He never had an agreement with you to pay you back. And that what you did because he's your son and you're his father. And the reason that you threw him out of the house was that you came home from work one day. What kind of work do you do?
I'm in sales, ma'am.
That you came home from work one day, he was not working, and he was, according to your papers, he was lying on the couch and smoking marijuana.
Well,
that's what you say here.
Yeah, what happened, ma'am, is it was on a weekend. I was drinking a beer, and he went out. He left, came back, and he smelled like marijuana in front of me. And I said, then that's when I asked him. I go, if you got money to buy marijuana, how come you're not making me whole on this? You made some payments on this because when he filed his income taxes on the years before, we will keep his returns to put towards what he owned.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me that you had an agreement with him for when he got a refund on his taxes that he would give you that money?
He was making payments before.
He was making payments?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did he make in payments?
He made a total of about $2,500.
Can I see the document that you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay. This says that you did, in fact, make some payments to your father. Income tax return, and that was in April of 2023 that you did, in fact, make a payment to him of $1,222. Is that correct?
I believe so. If it says
Just
right
a second. I'm asking you a question, boy.
If it says right there, I don't recall that, so.
Okay. Do you recall that you got a refund on your taxes?
Maybe. It could have been a stimulus check. I don't know.
All right. Well, I can see I'm not getting anywhere with you because you're a moron. And what you really don't know, sir, is how to read the room. And, you know, sometimes people learn that when they're very young. Sarah learned how to read the room when she was 3. Doesn't require an education. It requires listening to what's going on around you. So if you listen to what I was asking you before, it's perfectly logical that your father might think that because you had money to go out and buy weed, you should be paying him. But in reality, he had no expectation of being repaid because you had either no job or a low-paying job. That's a perfectly reasonable thing for me to think as a parent. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But when I ask you and I'm sure that you remember because we're not talking about something that happened 10 years ago, but a few months ago, you got a tax return, $1,200, and you gave it to your father. That's either a yes or a no. That's not I don't remember. I don't remember means that you're dull-witted. Are you dull-witted?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You're not dull-witted. You're a wise ass, but you're not dull-witted. Then you made several other payments. In April of 2022, you again gave your father $1,123. Does that sound familiar?
Nope.
No.
He could have typed that up yesterday.
He could have. Just a second. He could have. So what you're telling me is that you never made any payments to your father. Is
Not that I recall, ma'am.
No, that's not an I don't recall. That means that you're dull-witted.
Marvin Navas Sr. is accusing his son, Marvin Navas Jr., for refusing to pay back bail money and attorney fees after his son was arrested.
Now, if you in fact made payments to him, you would know. I don't remember exactly what they were, but I did pay him some money when I could, when I was working, or when I got my tax return. You're a wise guy, but you're not dull-witted. So I want you to think hard. Don't give me I don't remember. Did you or did you not give your father your income tax refund in 2022 and 2023?
Yes.
Perfect. That's all we need to know. Now I know that you're just a wise guy, but you're not dull-witted. Okay. So actually, the junior.
Not a junior.
You are his junior. Your last name is Navas?
Navas.
Navas. Well, he's the senior here today. You're the junior.
If you say so, ma'am.
Yes, I do say so. And I have to tell you, sir, that but for the fact that your son has acknowledged that he turned over to you his income tax returns as partial payment for this lawyer, I would actually dismiss your case. I'm telling you, I would dismiss your case. Because you actually did what a parent is supposed to do when their ne'er-do-well kid acts like a moron, smokes dope in a car with 4 other morons, 2 of whom have guns, But you don't want him to go to prison, and you've probably gone to pick him up at police stations before.
Yes, ma'am.
When he was young. Now he's getting older. The only thing that I can suggest to you is, despite the fact that your wife adores him, he's her baby, you have to let him stand on his own because he's a wise guy. And somebody's going to hurt him one day.
And that's
somebody's going to hurt him one day.
Who?
That's
that kind of wise guy always gets himself into trouble. Always. But for these 2 payments, I would have dismissed your case. However, he did make 2 payments, which he acknowledges, so the debt is real. He acknowledges that it was a debt by making 2 payments. Do you have the bill from the lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Here's the bill. Here's the receipt. And this is what we paid.
May I see the bill for the bail bondsman?
Yes, ma'am. Here's the bill, and then this is the email that will correspond with the stuff for the lawyer. I got you an email that.
Okay. Is he living with your mother or your wife's mother?
My mother.
Your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
How does she feel about that?
She loves me.
Shh. I didn't ask you anything.
She loves him. She's torn up.
Does she have anybody else living with her?
My brother.
Mm-hmm. And to the best of your knowledge, is your son working now?
No, I don't know. I haven't spoken to him since May. This is the first time I've seen him.
Are you currently employed?
I'm looking for work. No, I'm not employed right now. I'm looking for work.
Okay. Well, in case you find work, I'm entering a judgment on behalf of your father for $10,000, which is the court's legal limit. He paid the lawyer a minimum of $10,000, and he paid the bail bondsman. I would hope that your legal case ends well for you, sir.
Appreciate it, ma'am. I
do hope it ends well. And it seems to me that you have certain innate intelligence. If you waste it, it's your life that you're wasting, nobody else's. We're done here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't think it was fair. You know, my dad spent his own money. He paid the lawyer himself. He got the bail bonds himself. I just made one call when I was in jail.
I was very happy with it. I needed to have this foreclosure.
I believe he was my dad. It was obligations to, for his son to just get me out. I don't think I owe him a dime.
Well, if that's what he thinks, what can I do? All you can do is be a father.
He's not really a crier like that. So for him just to fake cry in front of the judge, I think it's ridiculous.
I just didn't want him to go and be in a situation that it'll be worse for him.
To be honest, I won't speak to him for a very long time. If we reconcile, we reconcile, but my focus is just my 3 girls, my mom, my 2 little sisters.
And hopefully our relationship can move on and get better.
I'm cute, but not going to jail, man.
It's just tough love, and I just got to learn that, deal with it as they come and be prepared.
Sometimes I take for granted the legalese and the elements that are in the background of my mind when we listen to litigants out here. Because I know for you and for me, as soon as we heard that he made just one payment, that's acknowledgement of the debt. And therefore, he knew it wasn't just his dad being the best dad in the world, getting him out of jail, but a loan and an acknowledgement of a debt if he paid one payment. He didn't know that. He thought that it was going to be great for him that he paid. I paid him. I gave him the money. The rest of it was just him being a good dad. So he didn't know which way to go. He didn't know which way was up or down. He didn't know what was good for him, bad for him. But
what I found interesting about that young man is he clearly intelligent.
Sure.
And he spoke too much out of turn, but he was clearly articulate. Life is a journey. It has a beginning, a middle, and unfortunately for everybody, it has an end. In between is your journey. Mm-hmm. And that is a wasted journey because he's just a wise guy. Yeah. And he's not taking advantage of these wonderful innate gifts that he has of being able to communicate and being nice looking and looking healthy. Just a waste. Yeah. And it's really too bad because the journey is finite. What you do with it is yours. Your mother took money that she had been saving for you from your paycheck
so that I could get out on my own again and get an apartment. We ended up yelling at each other.
I asked her at least 5 or 6 times to just please be quiet.
She kicked me out at that point then too, so.
Well, that's nasty. It seems to me that rather than picking a fight with her, you should be proud of her.
This is Judy Justice. Shanice Eckstein is suing her mother, Jessica Lornson, for stolen money and assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3112, Eckstein versus Lawrence.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss Eckstein, the defendant is your mom?
Yes.
And there are several parts of your complaint, but the primary part of your complaint is that your mother took money that she had been saving for you.
Yes, ma'am.
And refused to give it to you when you left her home.
Yes.
And mother says that you owed her that money she doesn't deny that she saved money for you, it was your money, but that she says that you didn't contribute as you should have to the household when you were living there, and she has a counterclaim, and that counterclaim is that while you were living there, your cats caused some damage to her sofa.
Yes, correct.
By the way, if you take a look at each other, it's so funny for a stranger to you, look at you, and you can look at your mom and see what you're going to look like in a while. I'm looking at your face. You don't see it.
No, ma'am, and I don't want to.
Well, I'm just telling you from a stranger's perspective, sometimes my children don't see the same thing that I do, and I don't see it all the time. But I looked at the two of you, and it's...
We've gotten it a lot. It happens. It sure does.
Does it?
It does. It has.
It does? And your mom probably likes it when somebody says, oh, is that your sister?
She probably does.
She probably does. Okay, so right now, you and your mom are on the outs. That may be forever. It may not be forever. Certainly, from what I read of your complaint, when you hit a bad spot in your life, you went back to your mom.
That's false. This was the only time that I'd actually done that.
When you hit a bad spot, I just said one spot.
Yes, ma'am.
When you hit a bad spot in your life, you went home to your mom.
Yes.
And she let you come home.
Yes.
First, tell me a little about yourself, Miss Eckstein. How old are you?
I'm 26. I am a branch manager at a financial place. I do taxes and loans, so pretty standard.
Did you graduate high school?
I did. I graduated high school. I did 2 years at the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. Didn't finish there, but still love art, you know.
And how old were you when you left home?
I was 18.
And where did you go?
I went to the dorms where I was living there for school for a bit.
Okay. Your mom, I assume, since she has younger kids, that they're your half-siblings.
Yes.
Okay. How old are your other children?
They are 4, 5, and then I have a 17, an 18, and then 26.
Okay. When you went off to college, you got student loans to do that?
Yes.
And you were there for a couple of years and left. Tell me why you left school.
I was not doing well mentally. I actually started there living in the dorms and then coming back home. At the time, it was about a half-an-hour drive. I worked in my hometown, and then I went to school in Milwaukee. So it was about a half-hour drive. I'd come back on the weekends and work. In that process, I would stay at her house on the weekends, but I wasn't able to continue to do that, actually, because she kicked me out at that point then, too. So this is reoccurring.
So that would make you about 20.
At that time, I think I was 19 and a half-ish going on, around, close.
Close to 20. And you had a falling out with your mom then?
Yes.
Okay, not important as to why. And then you were on your own. Tell me when you went back to your mom's house and under what circumstances?
So in April of 2023, I lost my job due to them closing offices. So I just wasn't able to.
Were you continuously working from the time you were 20 and you left school?
Yes, not the same job, but yes.
But yes, and you were living by yourself?
Yes.
And paying your own rent?
Yes.
You have a car?
Yes.
Buy it yourself?
No, but I guess technically it wasn't a loan, but it was from like a family that I was paying them. So yes.
Okay.
Title's in my name, yes.
Yeah, so you bought it. So when you were 20, you were on your own, self-supporting.
Yes.
But not bad. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Not bad. Today's day and age, that is a big, not bad to be 20 and on your own.
Yeah.
So you lost your job.
Yes. So essentially I was working at this job since 2020, I believe it was, so about 3 years at this point. And they decided they were going to close all of the surrounding offices where I was and then the ones around it. So I didn't really have many options. So they gave me severance. I left. I was working on severance, or, I was waitressing on the side getting severance. And then I also received unemployment during that time as well to just continue with my rent that I had with the lease.
Okay. And then?
So, I'm sorry. And then I went, I was, getting unemployment. It started to short out a little bit around August. It was getting a little bit difficult to pay my rent. So I decided that it would be easiest to not do that anymore. I moved in with my mother, asked if she could help me at that time of need, yes.
And she said yes.
And she said yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So tell me, so you moved back home with your mom, and I assume between 2 and 4 siblings.
Yeah, well, there was 2 originally. One is in college right now, and then the other one ended up moving back as well.
The 17-year-old?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So is back home with the 4 and 5-year-old?
As far as I know, yes.
Is that right?
Correct.
And you live there with your husband?
Correct.
And 4, 5, and 17-year-old?
Yes.
So you moved back in April?
No, I lost my job in April, moved back around August. So it was, the news happened in August that it was going to be an eviction otherwise. So I realized that I wanted to avoid that, obviously, on my record. So I reached out to her in a moment of panic. She helped me out. I had my stuff moved in within days.
Great.
Shanice Eckstein claims her mother, Jessica Lawrenson, assaulted her and stole money she received from Shanice. Jessica is countersuing for the cost of a couch.
Okay. According to you, the deal was that you would work, which you did.
Yes.
Got another job.
Yes.
You moved in August. When did you get another job?
Right away. It was actually, I moved in like halfway through August, somewhere near September. So I got a job immediately on, it was September 19th was my first day.
Are you still there?
Yes.
What kind of work is it?
Taxes and loans.
That's what I thought you said. And you started to give your mom money from your paycheck.
Immediately.
For?
To save for me so that I could get out on my own again and get an apartment.
How come you didn't put it in a bank?
I should have. Hindsight, but my bank was out in Fond du Lac, so it was just a far drive, and my work issued me a payroll card, so that's what I was using at the time, and she actually insisted that I give her the money rather than, so that I can't have access to it, basically, because she thinks that I wouldn't have the ability to not spend it, basically. So that was the point.
Okay, and you were saving the money for her?
Correct.
How much did you save for her?
We saved, I think there was $1,800 in there. And I did ask her several times to go and open up a bank account.
Okay, but you said you saved $1,800. That was $1,800.
That's
Was it in a
incorrect.
bank account?
No, I had it set aside in an envelope that said Shanice's savings on it.
So it's somewhere between $1,800 and $2,500.
I have it actually in my evidence. I have all my pay stubs, and then I also have all of my bank statements showing when I pulled money out. That all add up to $2,600. And then I also have my, there was also like a note that I kept in my phone to save every time that I pulled out and gave her money so that I could keep track of it. So,
okay. Do you have any documentation of how much money she gave you?
It was written on an envelope at home. I don't have that.
The answer is no.
No.
Okay. So I'd like to see.
Yes, ma'am. Give me 1 second.
From your phone. That would be most helpful.
I don't have it on my phone. It's right here. So this is the beginning of it. This is the savings. And then throughout, you'll get the bank statements first. And then right after, immediately, is all of my pay stubs.
Savings at Mom's, I have $2,300.
That's because she also borrowed $200 from me for, I'm assuming, my brother's car payment at the time. I also have that in text messages of her borrowing that.
Well, let me see the text message of that, please. Yes, you remember borrowing $200 from her?
So I had asked her, yes.
Yes, you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. That's $2,500. Okay. Then there came a time when you had a problem.
Yes.
Tell me when that was.
I left her house on the night of, it was November 24th. I came back on November 25th around 11:30. I went out to see some friends in Fond du Lac. So she actually sent me with some plates for Thanksgiving to give to my friends. So everything was all cordial and fine at the time of me leaving on Friday night. Came back on Saturday night, and initially it started with a text message I sent my brother. I asked him if he wanted to split a pizza. I was coming home, just to hang out with him. He told me he wasn't home. So I texted my mother and I asked her where's Joe? And she told me that he was out with friends, whatever, but she was being very short with me. There's just very short responses. I was asking her if she had a problem. She said no. I said, okay. So I got home and she had an attitude with me still. So I addressed it. I said, what's the problem? And it ended up raising voices. We ended up yelling at each other.
Okay.
Yes.
So stop. So tell me what happened. Why were you annoyed with her?
So in the text messages, I had asked her, it was midnight, and I had asked her if she had been at her friend's for a couple of days, why she couldn't have ate before she came home, because we had the little one sleeping and my significant other sleeps out in the living room because of just sleeping arrangements with the little kids. And I asked her that, and she said, I don't know what your problem is. And then when she got home, it just turned into something more.
I don't understand what you're...
May I say something?
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not following you.
So she texted me and asked where Joe was.
She left on a Friday.
Yep. To go up to Fond du Lac.
And she was coming home on Saturday.
Correct.
What time?
She texted me, it was about 11:30, saying that she was about 15 minutes out.
11:30 in the evening.
Correct.
So she gave you a heads up that she was out. She had her own key, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's fine.
Yes.
And then she said she was hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so she said she was hungry, and your response was, why didn't you eat with your friends?
Mm-hmm.
Because why you want to eat when you come home?
Yeah, my boyfriend does get up at 4:30 in the morning, and she knows that. So I just thought it was like, why couldn't this be taken care of before you came home instead of at midnight? Because it kind of disrupts the house, I guess.
You must have had a bad day with somebody that day. That's not something that I would actually say to one of my children. I'm just letting you know.
Well, right.
I'm just letting you know. You might have just had a bad day. Who was this?
This is my mother-in-law, Diane.
I mean, she had somebody who was responsible. She texted you that she was coming home. She clearly knew that you would be up if she texted you because you probably stay up late.
Right.
And sometimes more than I used to get. I'm on my way home 15 minutes out. What? I would say, what kind of medication are you on? Telling me 26 years old and telling me.
We've just had talks before, about just the times of arriving at home and, with the kids sleeping and Josh in the living room. It was just, I think, more of just a respect thing. That was all.
But not a big deal.
No.
Doesn't sound like a big deal to me. Mm-mm. So then what happened when she got home?
So she came in the house and she said, when she opened up the door.
No, look at me.
When she opened up the door, she said, "What's your problem?" When she first walked in.
Well, what had you responded to her? Had you said to her, why didn't you eat with your friends? Had you texted that to her?
I texted that to her. Yeah.
Well, that's nasty. Okay. So she came in, then she said, "What's your problem?"
Mm-hmm.
And then?
And she kept getting louder, and I asked her at least 5 or 6 times to just please be quiet. The little ones were sleeping.
Is that the way it went? I mean...
That is the way it went.
Shanice Eckstein is accusing her mother, Jessica Lornson, of stealing her money while they live together. Jessica is countersuing, claiming Shanice's cats ruined her couch.
Okay. She was getting louder because you were saying what?
She just kept saying, "What's your problem? What's your problem? Why are you angry? Like, what's your problem?" And it kept getting louder, and I asked.
And what did you answer? Just a second. So what did she ask what your problem was? Because it was a curt sort of text. And what did you respond to her?
I just asked her to lower her tone at first, and it just kept escalating and escalating.
No, but did you answer her?
I did not.
Why?
Because I answered her in the text message. That's all.
That's incorrect.
What did you?
I just said, why can't you eat before you come home? I know it's
just a second. Well, that I know, but now she's home, and she says to you, "What's your problem?"
I just think it's just how she approached me. That's all, ma'am. I don't.
Had you had a fight with your boyfriend?
No, we actually get along really well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then it escalated. Is that right?
Yes.
And you left?
Yes. Well, actually, I would like to also mention that they were both awake in the kitchen, in the living room watching TV when I got home. They were both still awake, actually.
Both your mom and her boyfriend?
Yes. Both my mom and her boyfriend were awake. The kids were sleeping, but they were out in the living room with the dogs and everything. Everyone was hanging out. That's the setting. And I would also like to note that my 17-year-old brother was also out and not even returned home yet, was driving her car at the time. I came back at a reasonable time, let her know with my own car. So that's setting the scene, clearing that up.
Is there anything that your daughter just said that is inaccurate?
Yes, Josh was actually sleeping on the couch until she came in the first, when it started getting loud, he woke up.
She said he was out.
No, my son was out. My 17-year-old.
Your 17-year-old was out.
Mm-hmm.
Where was he?
At a friend's. He was hanging out.
Was he coming home?
Yes.
So your daughter came home before he did?
Correct.
How do you get along with your mother's boyfriend?
He's a really nice guy, actually. I'm very happy that he is around her. I was hoping that it would make her a little bit of a better person, but I do like him. He's a good guy.
Now, going over the numbers, Ms. Lawrenson, you saved $2,500 of your daughter's pay, and that was your understanding that you were saving it for her. You indicated it was in an envelope. It was in an envelope with her name on it. She left. I don't care what the circumstances were of her leaving. That's her money.
Right. I did ask her, the original agreement when she moved in was to contribute to groceries.
No.
Contribute to groceries to help out with household stuff. Our utility bills did go up, and I had to talk with her out in our garage, asking her if she can contribute a little bit. I literally live week to week, paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. And I asked her if she'd help me. She said she would.
Okay, but you asked her to help you. She never did. She just gave you money to save for her.
Correct.
Well, then you owe her $2,500. That's her money. That's her money. That's not a contract. Can you help out with the groceries? Can you help out with the utility bills? That's not a contract. I'm going to save your money for you so you can move out and be on your own. That's a contract. So you have to give her back her money. Money owed for damaged property. You've got one couch?
Correct.
And it's a leather couch?
Correct.
Have you had that couch since you had your 4- and 5-year-old?
Yes.
So you have a 4- and 5-year-old that use that couch and sit on that couch and play with that couch. Now I want you to show me a picture of how you say her cat or cats destroyed the couch.
Okay. There is these 4 here. And it's on the arms, on each of the arms, and then on the bottom footrest.
No, this is a worn couch.
I know. The seats are, yes.
Oh, come on. What, are you kidding me? Miss Lawson, all I can do is suggest to you that you keep your fingers crossed that your 17, 18, 4 and 5-year-olds turn out as articulately and independently as your 26-year-old. I wish you good luck with that, but it seems to me that rather than picking a fight with her, you should be proud of her. She's been on her own for a very long time, taking care of herself, seemingly responsibly, and you were short with her. You were short with her that day. It was an unloving, that text to her about why can't you eat with your friends was an unloving, non-maternal response. You understand?
Yes.
Good. So you owe your daughter $2,500. She owes you nothing. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I feel that I didn't get to speak on everything and that I wasn't heard.
Honestly, very grateful.
I was honest in my statement and had all my evidence.
Just very grateful and ready to be done with all of this. I just wiping my slate clean, absolutely done.
Just if she would have read all like the details that I had with the dates, the times, just things that Shanice and I have been through in the past.
Probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done, but I had to do it. So we did it and we're here and I'm done.
She owes me more money, $500 for an electric bill that she never paid me.
She never loaned me any money in the first place, so she's holding on to something that doesn't exist, and that's unfortunate for her.
It hurts. It does.
Because it's been a long time coming. It's been years of her putting me down and just being the thing that stands in my way of my full potential, and I don't know what the reason is.
I don't want nothing to do with her.
Finally, I had to just stop because I have a life to live.
I've given it a lot of thought.
I hope she lives the best life she can.
No, she's burning bridges.
I hope I never have to cross paths with her again.
I was really impressed by that young woman.
Yeah, seemed like she had it all figured out from a pretty young age, responsible, taking care of herself.
Paid her rent, bought a car, paid it off, texted her mother, I'm on the road, I'll be home in 15 minutes.
Yeah, overly accommodating and understanding. It's just unfortunate. I know she probably, all she wanted was her mother to acknowledge all of those things as positives, you know, and having a daughter that accomplished that much at such a young age.
Yeah.
I'd want my parents to acknowledge and celebrate that, and I feel like she didn't get that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah. At least she got her money back, though.
She suspected her husband was cheating.
We're chasing this car now. She crashes into the back of her vehicle and my car.
Which had in it your husband and his girlfriend.
Yes. The airbag exploded. The car is totaled.
Oh, I don't care if your car is in 1,000 pieces on Pluto. Keep your nose out of other people's business.
This is Judy Justice. Kiera Scott is suing her sister, Leah Scott, for vehicle damage, transportation fees, and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3174, Scott versus Scott.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Scott, this is your sister.
That's correct.
Older, younger?
Older.
She's married.
That's correct.
She called you and told you that she suspected her husband was cheating.
That is correct.
When did she call and tell you this?
The text messages that I have were February 3rd.
Of what year?
This year, Your Honor.
Anyway, she said she suspected her husband of cheating, and she asked you if you would come over with your car to take her to track him down, because her husband and this other woman, she thought, were driving in the family car, hers and her husband's, so she didn't have a car. Is that right?
That's correct.
So you dropped everything and you went over to her house. How long did it take you to get there?
Probably about 15 minutes, not that long. We live about 10 minutes, 15 minutes across the bridge from each other.
And when you got to her house, was she outside? Was she inside?
She was outside waiting for my niece, that's right here today, to come back home.
Her daughter?
Yes, she was outside. We couldn't go anywhere.
How old are you?
16.
Anyway, she hopped in your car, and at that point, she was in the passenger seat.
Yes.
So you picked her up and started driving to where she thought you might find her husband, the girlfriend, and her car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did she find them?
Not right away.
She gives this address on her phone. She said, we're gonna go here. This is where the car should be parked up at. We get to this address, we're looking around probably about 15, 25 minutes or
You're driving around?
No, we parked the car.
Oh, you parked the car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you were walking around?
Yes.
Just the two of you?
No, she had a friend. I don't know the friend.
She had a friend with you?
The friend met us there.
Had you called your friend?
Yes, I did.
And told her where to meet you?
Yes.
The friend was female?
Yes.
So now the three females are walking around this neighborhood. What time was this?
At this point, probably 12:25, I want to say, in the morning.
So now you're walking around a dark neighborhood, the three of you, looking for a car that your sister thought was occupied by her husband and this woman.
Yes.
So tell me what happened.
We are looking for the car. We're walking around. We don't see the car. She's frantic, agitated because of the situation.
Do you remember what she was saying to you?
She's saying she couldn't believe he was doing this to her. That the time they spent together, him lying, saying that he was working overtime, and that wasn't the case. He was having an affair with this woman that he works with at his job. We went to basically what she told me was to just go retrieve the car. I asked her, you sure you just don't want to go about this the right way? Like court proceedings, divorce, however you may go about it. I don't, me and her is exchange. We only really recently started talking again because our mother passed away.
Well, did she tell you what she intended to do if she found them?
She wanted to take her car back. She had the spare key, and I was under the impression that I was just taking her to go get the vehicle. Nothing crazy happens.
Okay. You were under the impression that the car was going to be empty?
Yes, she told me, he dropped the car off at the female's house.
And he was in the house?
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Shh. You'll have a chance. So you thought that the car was parked?
On the block, yes.
Okay, and?
So once we get there, we're looking around, no car is visible. She's now calling her stepdaughter, which is her husband's oldest child, to figure out where he's at because she hasn't talked to her husband. The stepdaughter's telling her, I don't want to tell you because I don't want to get in trouble with my father. She's trying to, just tell me the right address because we're under the impression, if you're saying that the car was here because this is where the female lives and we don't walk around, we can't find the car.
Okay.
Do you have the wrong address?
So?
We leave outside of the building, continue to walk around.
What building?
Of wherever that female lives.
Did you go into that building?
Yes, we went into the building.
So what did you do when you walked into the building?
I guess she was trying to see if she can hear her husband's phone calling him to verify if he was on location.
How big a building?
Probably about 5 floors, 5, 6 floors.
Did you go up the elevator?
She took the elevator up.
Did you go with her?
Me, her, and her friend was with her. That is correct.
So you were all together?
Yes.
You were all together trying to listen for a phone going off. Did you go all 5 floors?
No. She went to one specific floor.
Okay. But at this point, you know that she's no longer looking for her car because her car isn't on the 5th floor, right?
No, yeah,
or
at
the
this
4th
point.
floor or the 3rd floor.
Yes.
So you know she's looking to confront her husband.
Yes, at this point.
Okay. So let's get finished with this farce that we're going to just pick up the car.
Mm-hmm.
She's looking to confront her husband and the woman.
That's correct.
And you don't hear a phone, so you exit the building.
We leave out the building.
Let's go.
Now I'm standing at the corner. I'm smoking a cigarette because we done stand here all this time. I'm asking her, what are you gonna do next? She's in her phone, looking at her phone. I didn't know exactly what she was looking at. Come to find out, she knew where her car was all along because in the type of car she has, there's a tracking device for that vehicle, a BMW. You can track it on the phone. I did not know that. So the car ended up magically coming down the block. It's, I'm guessing, the husband and the females in the car. So now at this point, I'm looking, the only BMW. I'm like, hey, is this the car? She's more further down the block than me. I'm standing at the corner, so she's a little more down the block. She turns around. Of course, she knows her license plate. She's like, yeah, that's my car. As she's walking more out the street, the car tries to hit her. It swerves to hit her, and then you see it swerve back in place.
If you were standing at the...
Just...
Kiarami Scott claims her sister, Lear Scott, owes for vehicle damage after Lear crashed her car. Lear is countersuing, saying Kiarami damaged her car during the pursuit.
Go ahead.
You see that the car was trying to hit her, so now it swerves back in place, and she now is trying to run after the car. So at this point, we're running to the car. She jumps in my seat. I'm in the passenger. We're chasing this car now about 3-4 blocks on. The car, I don't know if it was intentionally because, you know, she was agitated. She was angry at the situation that was going on. She crashes into the back of her vehicle and my car.
And that's why you're here, because there was damage to your car as a result of this ridiculousness. That's your lawsuit.
Yes.
By the way, just so that I finish it up, once you crashed the car, did the other car stop with her husband and the girlfriend?
That's how it exactly happened. She got out the car after a while trying to break her way because my car is total now.
What do you mean she broke?
Like, basically, she had to, like, kick my door open to get out the car because of the crash. The airbag exploded, so she couldn't get out the vehicle, like, just by opening the door and getting out. The car is total. Airbag exploded. Roof is up.
Okay, so she got out.
She got out. She went directly towards the passenger side, and she pulls out her husband.
Her husband was in the passenger side of her car.
Yep.
And the girlfriend
was in the
driving.
driver's side. Yes.
Okay. And she went to pull out her husband, and?
So she's arguing with him. They're yelling. I'm trying to tell her to calm down. He's trying to tell her to calm down. It turns into like a little scuffle between them. I don't really get into it because it wasn't really a scuffle. It was more of him, like, you know, trying to hold her and I guess explain himself or try to talk through the situation, whatever was going on. At this point in time now, she's arguing with me because I'm trying to tell her, like, you know, there's a whole accident here. We need to leave, you feel me, because the cops are gonna come. It's gonna look bad. She's telling me she wants to stay because she works with the law enforcement. So she wants to put the report in that the car was stolen because of the situation with the girlfriend. I leave with my vehicle. I'm telling her to just come with me, though, because I leave with my vehicle.
You left with a total vehicle? Just a second. You got to learn to control your temper. That's what started the whole problem.
You're right, Your Honor.
You got into your car that you say was totaled.
Yes.
And?
I drove away.
Okay. Where did you go?
I went home.
Okay, well, home is about 15 minutes away, according to you.
From my sister's address to my address, yes. From the address we were at, you can add an additional 5 to 10 minutes.
So you were 20 or 25 minutes away.
That is correct.
So you drove this totaled car.
Yes.
20 to 25 minutes.
I did, yes, I did.
Oh, that's all I'm asking you. Okay. And you want your sister at this point to take care of the damage to your car.
Yes.
Now, we're going to flip over to the defendant. You received a text message from this woman?
Yeah, Saturday, February 3rd at like 10-something in the morning.
February 3rd, you received a text message that said what?
Just a picture of him and her kissing together. I have it on my phone, yeah.
Of course you have it on your phone. Would be my screensaver.
She's not very appealing, miss.
Just a second, just find the picture. Oh, and the idiot who's taking this picture of them kissing, I assume that's your husband.
Unfortunately.
Good. Returned. How long, Miss Scott, have you and this genius been married?
5 years.
So you see this picture on your phone, and tell me what you did.
I go to him and I'm showing him the picture.
Just a second. So he was home when you got the picture?
Yes.
At what time was it?
Like 10-something in the morning.
What day of the week was it to you?
Saturday morning.
So nobody was working?
No.
So Saturday morning, you show him this picture, and he says?
He's like, Lee, can I talk to you? Because, you know, I'm just red. So he's like, can I talk to you? Can we go outside? Because I don't want to argue in front of kids. So I go, we go outside. So he's confessing, but he's really not saying who the lady is. But he's basically still lying about the whole thing.
How did he explain the picture? What did he say about the picture?
He just said that was his friend.
Friend from where?
He wouldn't ever tell me. I found out now that I got arrested.
Who got arrested?
I got arrested.
When?
That night.
What did you get arrested for?
I got arrested because my sister beat up the girl. The police wanted me to tell my sister to come back, and I said no. So they said, you getting arrested because she does have bruises on her. So I got arrested for it.
Okay. Your sister wasn't arrested?
No, because I refused to even say that was my sister, to save her.
Shh, just a second. What happened with that case?
I'm still fighting the case right now.
So you have a criminal case pending against you?
Yes.
With regard to this incident?
Yes.
Well, then I'm not going to take any more testimony from you because Your lawyer would not like that.
I told my lawyer I was coming on the show.
I don't care. Your lawyer would not like that. And unless you give me your lawyer's number,
I could do that.
And Sarah will call the lawyer. Phone number.
Phone number is 917.
Sarah, you know what to ask her? Tell
No,
her
what
that,
do you want me to?
Tell her that we're here. Mm-hmm. We're trying this civil case. Yeah. But the civil case is going to go into the details of what happened on February 3rd and February 4th of this year. I've told her client that I am not comfortable proceeding taking her testimony because that testimony can be used during the course of a criminal proceeding. She has told me that her lawyer is perfectly comfortable with her speaking to me and have a clear, recorded conversation with her about whether or not she has advised her client that she can testify today truthfully to the events of February 3rd and February 4th. Got it? We're going to take 5. Thank you.
Jeremy Scott has accused her sister, Lear Scott, of damaging her vehicle during a pursuit. Lear is countersuing Jeremy, claiming she is the one who crashed into Lear's car.
Sarah?
No answer. I called twice, and the mailbox was a Google mailbox set up, so I didn't feel comfortable leaving.
Okie dokie. Now, Miss Scott, what's the name of the law firm? I don't know. Have you paid them any money?
No, it's a public defender.
Public defender where?
In the Bronx County.
Is it public defender? Is it legal aid? Is it...
Legal Aid Society.
Legal Aid Society in the Bronx?
I believe so.
What do you mean you believe so?
I believe so, Your Honor. I don't know.
Well, you have to understand that I am not going to allow you to testify any further with regard to what happened on February 3rd and February 4th without first confirming with an attorney that the attorney is dumb enough to say to you, go appear on national television while an assault charge is still pending against you in the Bronx, okay? So I'm not going to ask you any further questions. What I'm going to do is to paraphrase from your sworn statement, which in sum and substance says that the plaintiff was driving the car, not you. While she was driving her own car, she slammed into your car, which had in it your husband and his girlfriend. And then she backed up and rammed into your car again. Now, you have a counterclaim. Let's see what your counterclaim is for $7,500 for damage she caused to your vehicle. She's suing you for $7,500 for damage that she claims you caused to her vehicle. I don't have to see anything. You're going to show me that she confessed? Oh, you're going to show me pictures? Let me tell you that this is one of those cases where I'm going to quote somebody many years ago who said, a pox on both your houses. Because there's no question that you were an active participant, madam, so I don't have to consider her. She's done. Her counterclaim is dismissed for all purposes. She went crazy that night. She involved you, she involved another friend, and I don't care if this car, which is may or may not be in your name, may or may not be jointly owned, I don't give a rat's behind. That's not the way you deal with a matrimonial case. Deal with a matrimonial case and hiring an investigator or a lawyer and getting out. You don't involve all these people in a midnight search for your husband and his girlfriend, which, by the way, according to you, included trespassing in a 5-story building and going floor to floor, listening for a phone so that you could do... Just a second. I told you, say nothing.
We didn't go to every floor, Your Honor. We went to that one floor.
I don't care if you went to 1 floor or you went to 5 floors. You trespassed on private property with intent to commit a something. I don't know what, but ultimately that something resulted in a criminal arrest. So I don't care if your car is in 1,000 pieces on Pluto. Keep your nose out of other people's business.
She called me. I wasn't in her business. I didn't know what was going on with her husband.
Listen.
Until after.
Listen, madam. You knew exactly what you were doing. You told me exactly what you did. You told me that you got into your car, went to her house to pick her up, to go in search of
her car.
That's what you originally told me. There's no question you didn't think that her car was on the first floor of a 5-story building in the Bronx. You didn't think a car was there, that they drove up the 5, so you were no longer looking for the car. And you understood exactly what was going on. You even said to me, I try to tell her this is not the way to do it. Didn't you?
When we was there, yes.
Just
I was
a
like,
second.
calm down.
Is that what she said? Go back if you can. I tried to tell her, I tried to discourage her. Don't speak, that's what I have Whitney for. Ridiculousness.
She said, I asked her, are you sure you don't want to go about this, or you want to go about this the right way? Court proceedings,
that's
divorce,
exactly,
how you may go about it.
Just a second.
We left out the building to calm her down so we can leave.
So then you leave. After you try to calm her down, then according to you, you could have left. Instead, you were standing on the corner smoking a cigarette.
Yes.
Right. Not getting in your car and leaving. You want to be involved in this nonsense. You be involved in this nonsense. You're a grown-up woman. You want to stay here. I'm not getting involved. I don't care what happened to your car.
You're right.
Your fault. Courts don't help people who get involved with this kind of nonsense, which ultimately, I assume, involved somebody, and I don't want to go any further, getting hurt enough so that there was an arrest for assault.
Nobody got hurt.
You're an idiot. Your case is dismissed. Counterclaims dismissed. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
To be truthful, I was just helping my sister, trying to do her a favor. It led from one thing to another. It got out of hand, but here we are now, so.
She's lying about everything. She never said nothing. We didn't go in no building to listen to a phone. How dumb does that sound?
I hope she learns from her mistakes and choose the right person next time. And don't just choose them because you think it's gonna work out.
She's like the rowdy one, yes.
It strained it even more than what it already was.
Done. I wish her the best. I love her from a distance.
I'm only a few years out of law school, but even for us newbies, I can't imagine any one of us giving a client permission if they have an ongoing criminal case for anything, especially assault or something where someone ended up injured, coming to a forum like this, or even any small claims, and giving testimony that could potentially hinder their own defense in a criminal case.
You're absolutely right. What I found interesting was the defendant gave you a 917 number. Now, a 917 number
is
a cell phone. Now, we've had 2 people in our family who worked in Bronx public defenders in different offices, but in public defenders, for a total of probably 30 years between the 2 of them. Not once do I remember either one of them giving a client their cell phone number. I found that such a lot of baloney.
Yeah. Too many questions.
Yeah, too many questions, and it didn't make any difference. They went there for no good, they got no good, they both got damaged cars.
Yeah, deserved it.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi đi chào các bạn, hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn tô máu cho một cô gái mặc một chiếc váy rất là dài này. Các bạn cùng mình tô cho này nha. Mái tóc mình tô màu nâu. Chiếc váy này mình tô màu đỏ nha. Một chiếc váy cũng rất là điệu. Các bạn nhớ theo dõi hết video để xem thành quả của mình nhé. Vậy là chỉ với ít phút mình đã tô màu xong bức tranh ngày hôm nay rồi đấy. Với cách tô màu này của mình, các bạn cũng có thể tham khảo tô cho bức tranh các bạn nhé. Video của mình xin được kết thúc ở đây. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video hướng dẫn tô màu số tiếp theo nhé. Bye bye.